All right, hello everybody. This is the grand finals of Board Game Madness. We are watching the top four players at UNT duke it out in one of the most competitive board games of all time, Ark Nova. My name is Brandon.
And my name is Deontay.
And yeah, so we're just going to be commentating over this game. This game actually happened 2 weeks ago, but we're just going to be rewatching it and also having some of the finalists also just get interviewed, while we're watching. So Deontay, how much do you know about Ark Nova?
Honestly, before this game was played, not very much. I learned it in a week, and I played like 1.5 games. Like half of them, like the
Mm-hmm.
half game was on Board Game Arena, and the one game was in person. I enjoyed it when I was playing it, but it was definitely something that is, I guess, kind of like a rolling stone, where getting
Yeah.
it moving is really slow to understand, but once you get it moving, it kind of just rolls along.
Right, right. And yeah, I only played Ark Nova like two times, one on Board Game Arena and one in person, and it looked very intimidating. Like I stayed away from Ark Nova like for almost life, for as long as I know board games. But yeah, tried it out like a week before Ark Nova was selected. Um, and yeah, it's actually pretty fun. It's
Yeah.
pretty fun. There's five actions you can do. Actually, yeah, I guess this would be the time where we actually explain how Ark Nova works. So yeah, there's the whole premise of the game is that you're trying to build this zoo, fill it with animals. Deontay, you can also let me know if I'm missing any information.
There you go.
Everybody has five actions, each doing something beneficial for themselves. And yeah, it's up to a four-player game, and it usually lasts for about like 2 hours to 3 hours.
Yeah, there's a lot
Um,
of intricacies with how the mechanics apply to each other. For example, uh, as Brandon said, you have five actions, but each of your actions have a different strength. And every time you use an action, the strength of all your other action changes. And so you're incentivized to not just take the same action over and over again, but also to plan your next action when you take your current action so that your preceding actions end up being more powerful and allow you to do more stuff.
mhm. And yeah, this game is just so fun for people who like upgrading, their moves. For people who like to see their board grow as the game goes along. It's a very satisfying ending to the game. At least I think so. At least for me, it is. Maybe for these players, it's probably frustrating when they play because after the game ends, right? Like the tickets that you see here, the brown stuff. Oh yeah, I'll even highlight it. These appeal here, also known as tickets, is what I like to call them. Um, they are all growing their appeal with every animal they play, or I don't know how else they get appeal besides animal cards. And then, but yeah, this number will grow. Oh,
It's like you have to draw on here because it doesn't show up on the.
oh, you're right. Hold on. Maybe you know what? That's a good question. Maybe we'll probably fix that. Hmm, let's see here. Oh well, never mind. I tried to draw something, but we probably will do that later. Shoot, I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, the appeal, you grow that appeal until you pass the green, and
Your
your
conservation.
conservation points, which is the green icon next to their appeal. And then at the end of the game, they all get subtracted to where whoever has the highest at the end wins.
Mm. This game has, like I said, it has a lot of intricacies. Like, for example, a little bit more on the scoring here. As you get your tickets or your appeal, you move up on one side of the track, and as you get conservation, you move up on the other side of the track. And only when a player's pieces on each side of the tracks crosses each other does the game actually end. And so, a player who gets a lot of appeal but doesn't get a lot of conservation is just as far as away from winning as someone who gets lots of conservation but doesn't get a lot of appeal. And
Right.
so you have to kind of prioritize both resources, but each resource is gained and in very different ways.
Hmm. Okay, but yeah, looks like I believe this is Aiden. He's playing the Ecuadorian Squirrel Monkey, which is after finishing this action, you may place any action card on the five slot. And yeah, the five slot is really good. Like pretty much as soon as you use an action, it goes to your one slot. But your action is most powerful when it's at the highest slot, which is like number 5. So yeah, and everything that kind of slides down as you use an action.
Yeah, as you could kind of see there on his board where he placed it, he has these little tokens that indicate the enclosures that are on his board. In that case, he had a two-space enclosure, and the size of the enclosure and also the type of the enclosure matters because you can only place certain animals in certain enclosures. There, he was able to place the, I believe it was the Ecuadorian squirrel monkey into that enclosure, and so he tipped it over so that it no longer had the number on it, indicating that it was occupied.
Right.
That's your main way of getting appeal, which once again are the tickets in this game, is by putting animals into enclosures and thus occupying your zoo. And as you can see here, Marco is moving this brown coffee mug token across the brake track. Certain actions will cause you to brake or move that mug across the brake track. And when that happens and it gets to the end, the player who does or cause it to happen gets a little X, which allows them to basically be a little bit more powerful. But it's basically the refresh income stage of the game. If you ever played any other similar engine builder type games.
Mm-hmm. All right, so it looks like here this is Marco, or I think this is, man, I kind of lose track. It is Marco, playing the ornithologist, which means each time a bird icon is played into any zoo, he gains $3.
Mm.
Look at that, he like, yeah, everybody has these little papers where they have a gain payment. Oh, oh yeah, oh yeah. Anytime we could probably like turn up the audio if you want, so we can hear what they're talking about, but that's just optional here and there. We could do something like this. Okay. Uh, but yeah.
Oh, also another thing.
Yeah, what do you notice?
Uh, we might not have said this earlier, but we'll say this now. So the amount of tickets that each player starts off with indicates what order they're going in. I believe Aiden started off at 0, so he'll be the first player, and then Victor, followed by Vian, followed by Marco.
Hmm. Yeah. I I guess wait, can you like re-explain that at least for me? Is it, are you talking about like the player order?
Yeah,
Like they're going over?
yeah. So at the beginning of the game, when they choose who goes first and who goes last, the last player always gets a little bonus amount of appeal just to
Yes.
offset that. And so I believe Aiden started off with 0 appeal, which once again are the tickets.
Yeah.
And so he was the first player, then followed by Victor, who only has 1, and Vian only has 2, and Marco who has 3. So that's how you can
Yes.
tell the order of the players.
Right. Yeah. That's a little small thing. It doesn't make anything unfair. If anything, it actually makes it pretty balanced. I don't know if y'all hear the background, but the Board Games Club meeting is actually happening right behind us. Um, so apologies for any background noise. Okay, so right now we're watching Victor. It's his turn. Everybody just goes one person at a time. Actually, no, we're switching over to Vien here. He's gonna snap, which pretty much he grabs a card from the display, and I don't know if he is just drawing cards. Yeah, I think he's just
Uh,
doing cards action.
Looks like he was the one that caused the break because he was past that little X token. The X
Mm,
token is what you get when you are the player that causes the break. You can use the X token to basically treat one of your actions as if it's 1 power above it. So if you were to use an action at the 4 level strength and use the X, it would consume the X and now it will be treated as a 5 level strength. It doesn't move to 5, it just gets treated as 5 level.
yes. Um, yeah, which is just super cool. And also, if you use something like a card, add a X token on it, when if it's like a 5 or something, it goes up even like higher than 5, like a 6 or a 7 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, but right now is like the end of the round pretty much because VN broke by drawing cards and everything just getting reset and all.
Yeah, you might have been able to see it on VN's board, but they'll have these little tokens that are color coded, and they usually have a certain continent on them. You can kind of see it if you look over to the right side of the screen right now, the different continents, they're all different colors. Those are partnerships, and those
Yeah.
partnerships give you certain bonuses, but are also required for certain animals to be able to be put into your zoo. So it's very important that you get the ones you need and you get them early because you can only get one of each continent per round. After that, you have to wait till someone breaks or obviously you can be the one that causes the break for the store to be refreshed. And you will get stronger as you get more and more of these upgrades. The partnership is just one kind of the upgrade, but as you get more and more upgrades, you'll get stronger and stronger. And you want to get
Yes.
stronger as quickly as possible because, as with most engine building games, you can't really move anywhere if your engine's out of steam. So
Yeah.
you need to pump it up.
Right. Yeah. Or else you're gonna fall behind. This is a race. It's a race to get the highest. Well, not the highest points, but the race to have their appeal past their conservation points.
Hmm.
Which right now at the moment they're like a long way to go. But yeah, we're still in the early game.
You have.
So it looks like this round is gonna start off with Marco here.
All right, there we go. Right.
And yeah, let's see what card he plays.
This is all gone. Then we go back here to 4.
He's got 2 animals in his hand and looks like a sponsorship. The sponsorship are the blue cards. The animals are the orange cards that obviously have animals on them.
Mm-hmm.
I will.
And as you can kind of see in the top right of each card, like that Australian pelican card there, they have certain tags on them. And
Yeah,
those
certain
tags
tags.
indicate what they're worth. So, for example, that has a bird tag and an Australia tag. And so some cards will require certain types of tags to be played. And so if you had a card that required an Australian tag, this Australian pelican would serve to complete that condition, so you could play that card.
Mm-hmm.
You get 2 back, and I play this. The Australian Pelican, and a size 4 requires 2 right here.
All right, he plays the Australian Pelican, which we already saw before. And I kind of forgot what that did for him. I think I might have just missed the information when it popped up there. That's okay.
We get $3 because it's a bird.
Oh, actually, we can just hear him.
1, 2, 3. And then I'll get 5 tickets, 5 appeal. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it says after finishing the current action, I may perform the build action.
Okay.
Oh, he gets to play a build action right after he just played that card. He just saved himself another turn, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he upgraded his build action, which is indicated by the action card on the bottom there being turned over to the pink side.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, technical difficulties. Let me fix that.
The support this action at 5.
All right, the game's still going on. We can still commentate. Maybe it just won't be audio for a quick second, but that's okay. All right. Looks like the active player card. Oh yeah, there's also have like a little active player card. That doesn't really come with Ark Nova, but it, just something that was added for this broadcast and for the referee too. We also have a referee kind of officiating the match. And yeah, we can just keep track of whose turn it is. Right now, Victor plays the Horsfield Tarsier, which costs $14 to play. And that's going to have him advance the break token 4 spaces and gain $4.
As you see in the bottom right of that card, it gives him 3 tickets or 3 appeal, but it also gives him 2 of those little graduation hats, which I think is referred to just as science in this game. The 2 science will move him along this smaller blue track that's in the middle of the board. You might see it later when the camera pans over there. Yeah, you can see right there, all the pieces are in the middle. Vian is the yellow player.
Yes.
And moving your science across the board allows certain actions to be stronger. There's a lot of overlap in this game where like this action makes this action stronger, which makes that action stronger, which makes this other action stronger. So you have to
reaction in this game.
you have to diversify your portfolio a lot.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, so VN just did an association action, which of course like upgrades something, but also gives them more reputation. And reputation just allows you to be able to get more cards from the display if you were to snap. I don't know what else it does though. Yeah, in a few minutes we're gonna grab like someone who is an expert in this game and kind of pick his brain a bit for any high advanced knowledge that these players have in their mind.
Yes. It's also for enclosures because you can't build 2, 3 enclosures. So if you take the build action for 6, you can build 2, 3 enclosures.
I see. Okay.
So yeah,
Like Marco's trying to think about whether or not he should take that engineer sponsorship. Yeah, sponsorship.
but he doesn't. He's gonna do cards action, which I think he just grabs 2 cards And yeah, once they do a cards action, they just immediately just pass out the active player card because they can just grab the cards in their own time. Not their own time, but just right after soon.
Since we're back over at Aiden, looks like Aiden's the only person that's upgraded any of his cards. That's
yeah.
probably because of the fact that he has 3 conservation, which is looking at the green shields. I forget exactly how he got that. Maybe from one of his.
I think you get that when you pass 2 conservation points. So you kind of get that for free.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's gonna help him a lot. He already has 3. What do you call it? Those 3 zoo spaces.
Yes, yeah.
And he's yet to occupy them with animals, but he's setting himself up for pretty well here.
Yeah. He just put down a kiosk, which is that little gray space that you put down there in the corner. That doesn't actually like really get you many points, but it does make your income go up by 1. So he will be gaining a little bit of extra money that he can spend.
All right, Victor's gonna play association, and he also spends an X token, which is gonna be a 5 association. But he actually, I don't know what he spent the token for. I think he could
I
have
think
gotten
he
that.
grabbed the policy, I think it's called in this game, which was this little like house token, and that house
Yes.
token, as you can see on this board there on the bottom right, gave him basically it gave him 2 different symbols. That first symbol allows him to now have 5 cards in his hand instead of the regular 3, and it also gave him 1 science, so moved him along the little blue track in the middle of the board there.
All right, Vien's gonna play white rhinoceros, which pretty much means you may add any one of the unused base conservation projects to your hand. And yeah.
As you noted on this card here, you look at the left side of it before it faded away. There was a small little red ribbon next to a marker that looked like a what is that called again? A science microscope.
Yes,
That indicates that he needed to have at least 1 science token already.
Unused.
So the ones in the
Give that.
in the stack.
The conservation projects are these green cards on the right side of the screen right now, near the far right of the screen. There's these green cards that have these each have like 3 little like point totals. Those are the conservation cards, and so that's one of the cards he just grabbed. Vienna, I believe, yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna play expert in large animals. Your cost to play a large animal.
All right, Marco plays expert in large animals. Your cost to play a large animal is reduced by 4, and that is a huge card. That's a really good sponsor card. I believe that happens. I think that keeps it for the rest of the game, right?
Yeah, that's just a permanent passive bonus.
Yeah.
But also, in addition, the bottom right of that card, or bottom left of that card, had a little yellow lightning symbol, gives them an instantaneous effect. So that gave him a little bit of extra. I believe it was money.
Yeah, extra
at
money.
that one point.
All right, it's gonna be Victor's turn. Yeah, I say right after Vien goes, I'm gonna go grab Ethan. He's a bit more of a advanced player in this game, and he'll be able to kind of answer any tough questions that just goes deeper into the strategy of this amazing board game.
Looks like we got someone playing sponsorship primate. So this is another good example of the tokens on the card. So you can see at the top of the card, it has the ape or primate symbol, and you will get a certain amount of money for every primate symbol that you have on your tableau. Once again, another example of that. In this case, you have, I believe this is a herbivore tag. So once again, at 1 herbivore tags, 3 herbivore tags, and 5 herbivore tags, you get a certain amount of money, which is what the X stands for.
Yeah, and he gains money for the amount of herbivore icons in his zoo, which at the moment is just 1, I believe, just because of his white rhinoceros.
Yeah, and also in the bottom left of that card, once again, the yellow lightning symbol indicates an instantaneous effect. So the instantaneous effect for that card was that he was going to get 1 extra appeal immediately for every herbivore that he had at that point in time when he played the card.
I'm gonna play this.
All right.
The ostrich.
Marco's going to play the African ostrich. Oh, it's going to allow him to draw 2 cards from the deck. I believe that's a right-away action. He just does it. And he pays 20.
Appeal.
Actually, no, he pays 16 because of his sponsor card.
Oh.
All right. I'll be right back to Yante. As I just informed Ethan, he's playing the board game right now, but as soon as he's done with the board game, he'll be coming over here.
All right.
And then I get 8 appeal for red, please.
So Marco just moved up on the track, as you can see there, because he gained a large amount of appeal, blazing ahead of the competition.
The immediate effect is I will gain an
We got Aiden playing the Quarantine Lab sponsorship card.
unaffected by the negative token.
So this card is unique because you can see the brownish part at the bottom right indicates an effect that happens at the very end of the game. And so you can build up towards it. In that case, the effect for that was that he would get 1 conservation for every unique continent marker that he had. So at the end of the game, we'll tally all that up and see how many points he gets from that. But otherwise, the card allowed him to be immune to all the other hazardous effects that could be possible in the game.
Reputation full, and you can upgrade a card. He's upgrading.
Hello, I'm joined here now by Ethan.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, Ethan actually was a referee for this game, so you may not be able to see him in the video, but he was physically there.
Indeed.
Get to 5.
What were you thinking at this point in time in the game? Was there any like clear like winner or a clear person who was like super ahead at this point? You were like, oh, that guy's gonna win.
I mean, I think here it was still pretty early on, and that made it really tough to have a clear idea of, who's out on top.
All right.
But I think your two top candidates right now, I'm looking at Marco with that 18 appeal and Aiden with that really early play to pick up those 3 conservation points was a really big first move.
Yeah. Would you say conservation is generally harder to get than appeal? That's kind of what I got when I played it.
Yeah. And being able to hit that threshold of more than 2 really early on to get that super early card upgrade is vital.
So break 2. I snap and I'll just take this.
Marco's snapping. He's going to take a card from the lineup of cards on the middle of the board. That's what snapping is, in case we didn't already explain it.
You did snap at 3?
No, I don't know why I snapped at 3. What's wrong with me?
Oh, never mind. He's not snapping. Okay.
Made a mistake.
Little mistake there.
Not my Marco. He would never.
$2.
Closer?
Hey man, I get on one side. Right there. Boom, boom. And then I'll put you.
Okay. And
Another question I'd ask. In this game, there are a lot of different like zoo boards you can play on. Were all the players playing on a different zoo board here?
yep, in this tournament we allowed everyone to have 2 different choices of zoos to pick from, and each player had 2 different choices, and they got to pick between the 2, whichever one they wanted most, and every person had different boards here, so it made it a slightly different game for each person to play. And as you can sort of see at the bottom of Aiden's board right here, right now, each board has a special ability that you can activate once or twice per turn, and occasionally procs. And so you'll see it later into this game, but some of those abilities start to get used a little bit.
Okay. Well, that being said, that means every player has like a different like kind of strategy to go for, a different thing they're kind of aiming for. Certain boards are good at, or certain boards are better at certain things, right?
In a way, yeah, because they synergize well with different play styles, but a lot of it is up to luck of the draw, what you get from the top of the deck.
Okay. So what would you say is the main strategy? Like, what is the best thing to go for? To get a bunch of animals, or to go for conservation like first, or like what would you say the players here are trying to aim to do to win?
I think early on picking up a sponsor card or 2 is really important because that helps dictate what kind of strategy you can go for the rest of the game.
Okay.
But and you'll see it in Aiden's zoo right now, right here, where he's got 2 sponsor cards but no animals.
Yeah.
But having those sponsor cards early on helps synergize with different animals that you can play future going up later through the game. And also trying to pick up those conservation projects fairly early on is
important because when you pick those up, you start to gain extra conservation points, and which is how Aiden shoots up ahead really early on and gets that card upgrade that you see right there.
Yeah, he's
So
got his second card upgrade. I think only 200 players so far. Maybe I gotta look at their boards again. I think only 200 players have upgraded so far, but Aiden's at his second upgrade already.
yep, that's the real strength of those early conservation points. And also with those conservation projects, those little cubes along the left side of your board, right? Those, the ones in the purple boxes anyway, are ongoing income effects that you can gain for the rest of the game. So as you do those conservation projects early on, you can gain extra income for the entire rest of the duration of the game.
So you're definitely going to want to unlock those early.
If you can, it's definitely a good idea to go early. Yeah.
So right now, I didn't quite catch who did it, but someone caused a break to happen. So they're refreshing the what is basically the shop in this game, and they're resetting the round, or not resetting, but resetting to a new round where everyone's going to get their income and whatnot.
Yep. And here, since Marco's got a lot of appeal, he's going to gain a lot of money here. Vienne has that one sponsor card that gives him different extra income for certain animals, and he's got extra income from that. But
All right, 16. There we go.
yeah,
6 because I have not changed. I get 5, and I get 1 for my kiosk.
Getting that one extra income from the kiosk that Aiden has, as he just mentioned.
And then player marker will pass to
and then since Victor was the one to break,
The break. Here you go.
we're gonna start this next round off with Vienne.
I'll do the 4-1 and get the 5.
He's going to
He's
use his
doing
worker.
His associate at 5 to pick up that building with the extra hand size.
So
The
now
extra hand size early on in the game is real useful. It means you don't have to discard as many cards every round.
that was the upgrade, I believe. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Marco got it earlier, and I think Victor might have gotten it, but most people tend to go for that upgrade pretty early on. I see. It is very powerful upgrade.
Plus 11.
Oh. We got Snowy Owl being played over here by Marco. That gives him a bunch of card
I
draw.
get 1 reputation. I get 4 tickets. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And as you'll see
I draw 4 cards from the
there,
deck, keep 2. and
Marco increased his reputation some.
Okay, then that'll be action.
He's got a bunch of animal cards. He's got the broad-snouted alligator in there. See what one he's gonna pick. Look, he's keeping a llama, and no, he's getting rid of the llama and that whatever that sponsorship card was.
I'm going to use animals to play boa constrictor. I can play it because it is a small animal, so it's discounted by 3, and it's a North America counter, so it's discounted by total. Sorry, can't do that.
And just explaining how his tags work there.
Gonna do association first. I'm going.
Oh, never mind. He's not playing the animals. He's doing association.
Going back
Okay.
on it,
I'm going to do this.
he's collecting that building, give himself some reputation, and that extra science tags that he can play more things in the future.
Hmm.
Oh, because I played the break at $3. I played the break.
And if I'm not mistaken, that 2 reputation that Aiden picked up there gives him an extra one-time bonus for this turn, though I don't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Yeah. It may seem like Aiden is a little bit behind because he has no appeal, but that 3 conservation matters a lot, and he is putting himself in a position now where he'll be able to do a lot of stuff. Remember, he was one of the first, if not only people still currently, well, not anymore, but one of the only people to have 2 upgraded cards. So he
And
is
here,
definitely scaling.
Yep. And here Victor picked up his second partner zoo, got his card upgrade just now.
Oh yeah, it wasn't clear. So the partner zoos go on this little tab. As you can see right now with VN, he has the Africa partner zoo. But as you get more partner zoos, they'll go into little spaces above that. And every time you fill up one of those spaces, you get a little bit of upgrades. So for example, if VN was to get another partner zoo and place it directly above his Africa partner zoo, he would be able to upgrade another one of his cards.
Here, Vien's building another zoo, preparing to play probably 2 animal cards on his next turn here.
It's like he's upgrading his
And he's
sponsor
getting
action.
extra reputation, which gave him that card upgrade right there just now. Upgraded his sponsor's card.
For the sure. And I will
And here, Marco is gonna
words for 4.
do a conservation project, unlock
1, 2,
a second associate worker.
If it wasn't clear what those associate workers do, you need to use one of them every time you take the associate action. So if you run out of them, you just won't be able to do the associate action.
Can I take the
Hmm. Yep. And so he's probably planning to do a second action later this round.
Well, that's
So-
the first upgraded card for Marco.
First,
I didn't realize he had an upgrade yet. But as you can see, it doesn't really matter because he has so much appeal. So
And here, Marco picked up a solid 4 conservation points, which is real big.
all in one turn. Wow.
Yeah. Played that really big bonus on one of those conservation projects, and I think that animal he just played also gave a conservation point too.
Aiden just played the Boa Constrictor, which gives everyone, I think it's a Venom or a Constriction token, some sort of debuff
Constriction
token.
tokens
Yeah.
to everyone else, and
it is
their next card that they play is played at reduced value.
Oh, yeah.
So, as you can see down in the bottom left there, Vien's Animals card is currently functioning at a value of -2 right now. So
Wow.
the next time he plays Animals, it would be, instead of at a 5, at a 3.
That's wrong. It's crazy too, because Aiden, one of his other sponsorship cards he played earlier made it so that he's immune to all sorts of debuffs, including that constriction. So not only could he not be retaliated against with those sort of debuffs, but you could just dish them out like that. Definitely going to be a little bit annoying for players to work
And
around.
here, Victor's playing that Animals card, but because of the constriction, he can't play 2 animal cards because, even though it would normally be at 5, it's now functioning at a value of 3. So he can only play 1 animal card on this turn, even though he might have been wanting to play 2.
With that being said, he did play the Muskox, which allowed him to draw all of the sponsor cards from the
card row.
The card row. Looks like it only ended up being 1, but it must have been a good one if he was willing to play that.
And here we're probably going to see Vien play 2 animals, or maybe only 1, depending on what he can afford.
Yeah, he's got a handful of animals. He's got a big open 5-space
And a
slot on his
3.
board, and a 3.
But not a lot of money.
Oh yeah, he only has about 18 credits, looks like, on his board. Oh, he still hasn't gotten rid of his constricted, so his animals action will be a little bit less than what it would be. Looks like he's gonna play the Mantled Gareza. I probably butchered that name, but yeah, this allows him to move any of his actions. Oh, place any action card on the 1 space. So basically allows him to, in a roundabout way, make 1 action instead of going back to 1, move it back up to 2. Because you would basically have your 5 action, you spend it go back to 1, but you put another action at 1, which makes your 1 go to 2.
Got to reconfigure all of his.
Can I get a side entrance?
Speaking of that, we actually do have some of the players here today. I think right now we're about to have Vian come in. We're going to pick his brain about what was going on during this competition.
So I'm gonna put it right here.
I'm gonna be stepping away, and we're gonna have some players cycling through here.
I'm gonna put it here. Right. Can I build from here or no? Or does that have to be like-
Hello, Vian.
Hello.
This is, of course, our yellow player, the one in the bottom left there, here in the flesh. What was going through your mind right now at this point in the game? I know this is pretty early, but as you can see, Marco having a pretty big lead. What were you thinking about? What was your strategy?
I believe my hand right now, at this very moment, is one a very large elephant that I really need to get out. That's all I can remember.
All right.
I believe I have my community zoo out for the elephant, so it should be a really good.
That's a good point.
It should be a really good discount.
What was your main game plan? Did you have to ever deviate or change that during the game? Were you like sort of like trying to rush animals, or were you more like what were you basically trying to do? Like I see that everyone has a different board, so certain people might want to do certain things more than others. But what were you trying to do?
You see, that is my strategy. I don't have a strategy. There's nothing to interrupt if you don't have a strategy.
Yes, I see. The enemies cannot predict what you're gonna do if you don't have anything that you're predicting to do.
Mhm.
Right, 5 for $10.
Let's see.
Put it on game.
Yay.
There we go.
Okay. We're too much.
Okay, I think here it is Marco's turn now. Marco's looking over his hand.
Go for 5.
Looks like I think he said he was gonna build. He's got no open zoos on his board. So once again, all those tokens on his board that are flipped over on the green side means they're occupied by an animal. So if he wants to place any animals, he's gonna have to build.
Two
$4 for a size 2 enclosure.
Yeah, he's building a size 2 enclosure. He only has 5 credits left, so looks like he's gonna need a little bit more income soon.
So I'm gonna build a
Looks like he spent everything he got to get this early lead. We'll see how that plays out later.
2 and a 3.
Strangely enough, he also doesn't have any partnerships, which is kind of weird.
One,
Can I get a kiosk?
you can't.
No partnerships make sense if you look at his animals. All three of them are from different regions.
Oh yeah, you got one Australian, one African, and a
Oh, no,
little bit of glare there. I think that's Asian. I think that's the what the snowy owl's from.
That is Asian.
Yeah.
Looks like he's working more towards birds than a specific region.
Looks like he actually built 2 things. He built a kiosk and a 2-space enclosure. That's going to help him a little bit with his income problem.
Spend 2 X tokens to play association at 5.
Oh,
Association. at
okay.
5. I'll do conservation. I will be playing the.
Okay. Well, right now,
This
Aiden just spent 2 X tokens to play his association at that was originally at 3 at 5. A little bit of a big little spender there to get that up. With that being said, let's talk a little bit more about you, Vian. So, how exactly was your journey here to the grand finals?
Where's it here? Over here.
Yeah, because I got that, I get to upgrade. I'll upgrade my.
Well, as the tournament went on, the games went from more casual party games into more of the complicated, more competitive 1v1 games. I am more comfortable with the competitive games, so the early stages is actually way more scary for me
Mm.
than the final Ark Nova.
Well, when you realized you were going to be in the grand finals, did you do a lot of preparation? Did you play a lot of like games, or were you kind of just like relaxing up to the final moment?
I was chilling, relaxing, chillaxing.
Alright, well, I mean, that works for some people. I know sometimes when I have a hard test, I find that if I study too much, if I try to cram study at the last moment, it just like overflows my brain and it doesn't work for me. Sometimes you just gotta like let your brain like recharge
Of
before the
course,
big
of
moment.
course. Exactly. And it's still just a board game at the end of the day, so
Mm.
no reason to think too hard about it.
Speaking of that, going back to your earlier matches, it looks like you played Point Salad in your first match, and then you played Sagrada,
Mhm.
which went into Seven Wonders Duel. and that got you to the grand finals. Of those three other games you played, what would you say is the most like memorable, the most impactful?
Point salad, definitely. I almost got knocked down in the first round.
Okay, wow. I never actually played Point Salad. What is that like?
And point salad is a very, very easy basic game. You're basically drafting from a pile of 6 possible cards. Each of those cards could be a variety of vegetables. There's things like onions, there are things like lettuce, and there are also some cards that give you points based on various criteria. So there could be something that gives you 2 points per onion. So if you get so there's multiple strategies in this game. So if you get one of the early game victory point condition ones, like 2 points for onions, you will then for the rest of the game probably want to prioritize getting onions. But you could also change your you can also people are aware of what vegetables they are chasing. So you could might want to be more flexible and try to uh, have a variety of ways to get points and a variety of vegetables.
So is it kind of similar mentality with this game, or like you're trying to build up? I guess from the looks of it, Tableau or not Tableau, Point Salad. You said it's a much simpler game,
Mhm.
but are you still kind of like trying to build up like what effectively is a Tableau, get certain combinations to get more points than other people, and while you're like going through the game, trying to work more and more on the combinations that you do have?
Yep, yep, yeah. That's exactly how you explain it.
Mm.
So it is very similar to Ark Nova, although there are many, many more words on these and many more symbols.
Yeah, this is like a
But
lot more than Point Salad, from what I understand.
yes, but in essence, it is the same thing.
Would you say, besides Point Salad, any other games kind of prepared you for this? I know some of your other competitors played Wingspan, and
Mhm.
I have played Wingspan once or twice. And Wingspan, I would say, is maybe a little bit closer to this game than Point Salad is.
Yes.
Would you say any of the games that you played, Sagrada, I've never heard of, and Seven Wonders Duel, would you say any of those kind of prepared you for this?
Hmm. They did not prepare me in the way that it trained me in the genre, but I will say I will say that I think I've gotten more comfortable in competitive scenes or competitive environments through the early games,
Go to reset, everyone will.
which helped me in the relaxing, chillaxing part of the strategy that I had.
Okay, so it looks like someone just discarded.
Anybody else need to discard first?
Looks like
Whoever-
they're taking a break right now, so everyone's discarding down to their hand limit.
Oh yeah, I don't know who triggered that break. I guess we'll see when we get the X token passed out.
Predators.
Yeah, they're refreshing what is effectively the shop. I forget the official name for it. Putting the partnership tokens and the other tokens back there, returning the workers to their appropriate owners. Marco did get a little bit of his money back. Still kind of low on the money though.
And that is it, right? Oh, we get our money.
We got 1, 2 conservation projects, which are the little green cards. Those are the cards right now on the up available for the snap.
This has to be like used, right?
Those generally tend to be your best ways of getting conservation points, which are the green shields.
Mhm.
There are other ways to get them, but those generally tend to be the best. However, to play them, you generally need to have a pretty high powered, I think it's the association action.
Mhm.
So all that power is kind of concentrated into like one action. Even then, once you do play them, you have to meet further requirements to be able to play them, and other players can meet those requirements before you and steal those points. So they are high value but high risk as well. Finding a little bit funny there, Victor in the bottom right, he has these cool shades on, but he has to like pull them up every now and then just to see the board.
19.
There's even. You can see his hands. Doing the referee job there, passing out some credits to everyone that needs them.
You had that plus one more. That one time you played it. So you should be at
A total of 16 gained, and he started at 2 because he was the third player, so he should be at 18.
18.
careful about all your things. That's why I don't have my jacket on right now.
All right, is that it?
It's not because it's kind of hot here.
It is also hot.
Okay, looks like a little bit longer of a break phase, or whoever's turn it was. I think it was still break. Yeah, they were still cleaning up on break.
Yes.
So now that you got everything sorted, and now it's Aiden's turn again. Aiden's looking through his hand. He's got looks like nothing but animals.
He's got a lot of space for those guys.
Yeah, he does. Unfortunately, I think his animal action itself isn't that high. Yeah, it's actually. Oh no, it's at 4. Okay. Oh, he's got 3 upgrades too. Okay, maybe he can put down multiple animals this turn.
I'd say he's in a really good position with his build at 5 and all that money. He
Yeah.
could build a 5 and then play those animals immediately after.
Looks like that's what he's gonna do. Oh, he's gonna build a special habitat. This is the reptilian enclosure.
Mm-hmm.
It allows him to put reptilians in there that normally would take up extra space, but now they can take up a little bit, like basically when it's condensed space, you can put more reptilians in there, as indicated by him putting these small little cubes of his color on there. Whereas normally, if you wanted to put a reptilian on his board, you would have to take up a whole enclosure, regardless of how much space is in that enclosure, would take up that whole enclosure. But instead, now it's only taking up part of his reptilian enclosure.
In the 2 research, 2 reputation.
Victor's reputation up to spaces.
Okay.
Just cheating, guys. My bad. Mostly for Victor, actually.
I know, right?
Looks like Vector, or not, Victor is moving up a little reputation track there.
Talked about.
Looks like it might be Vian's turn now,
Do it.
Hey, someone has something
at least in a little bit. I don't think Aiden quite ended his turn. Maybe he's trying to do one more thing.
Build at 1. Thing 2. Put 1 enclosure.
Oh, it is Vian's turn. Okay.
I'll do this.
Well, what are you thinking at this point when you placed that 1 space enclosure? What was your game plan?
I don't know what I was thinking. That seems like a bad play.
I'm gonna spend exo shit, X token for.
What were you feeling here? Were you feeling a little bit nervous? Were you still feeling like you had a lot to go?
I'm gonna do this.
What was your kind of like? What was your mind at this moment?
Well, I'm definitely behind here at the moment, but I still have the elephant in play that I really need to get out.
What does that elephant do?
It's just a very large animal that gives a lot of appeal. All that appeal gives me enough money and income to snowball more into even larger and larger animals.
Okay.
8 tickets, 8 appeal for red.
Looks like Marco just played a conservation project, giving him a bunch of appeal, moving right up on that track. Actually, I think he lost appeal. Okay, so he sacrificed some appeal to get more conservation points. So he's at 9 conservation points now, which allows him to move up on the track. One of the special things with the conservation points is that as you move up on the track, if you're the first person to pass these milestones, as you saw Marco just do, you get these special tokens which give you extra bonuses. In this case, it gave him, I think, 2 extra, I think I called it science earlier, but it's reputation, and it gave him 10 extra credits as well. So he basically got his money back just by doing that.
I lost my appeal, right?
Those bonuses, those token bonuses that you move off the board, those are one time only. So if another player passes them, tough luck, you needed to be faster. There are permanent bonuses that everybody can get whenever they pass those thresholds, but those one-time bonuses are pretty strong, and Marco just claimed 2 of them in one fell swoop.
I would like birds, but I don't know if I want to. Birds.
He still has a card, or at least an action to play.
I think we're.
I'm fine. I think I'll go blow the cards away.
I think he's deciding
That is true.
which cards to take. Looks like he's going to snap from the board. He's going to snap. I'm going to get to see what that card was.
It looks like a black bear.
Oh, it was a black bear. Okay.
Targeting this. I wish you put like the fan in front of me.
So Marco may have gone down in the peel, but it is that conservation that is still putting him
There we go.
pretty much in the lead right now.
I'm going to go ahead and play animals for 5. Gain 1 reputation.
Aiden's using all those buildings he built for maximally sized animal play.
Yeah, he's moving up the reputation track again. He's played the Veil Chameleon. as noted by the little icon on the top left, a little like I don't know how to describe it. It looks like a helix icon, which has a 0 on it. Because he has a reptilian enclosure, it uses that cost instead of the 1 enclosure cost, which, as you know, is 0, which means he could just place it for free. It doesn't cost him anything. In addition, he gains 1 card from the display, which is what is known as snapping. So you can just snap from anywhere. Normally, you would have to snap within a certain range based on your reputation, which are the little graduation hats. But that card specifically just allows him to just snap from anywhere. So pretty good play there. Didn't really cost him much, and he got a bunch of freebies for it.
I'll play cards at 4, break 2.
So as you're going through this game, obviously all the other players are your competitors, but each competitor has very different play styles and they're doing. Who do you think was like your biggest competitor, or were you kind of just fitting for yourself like a free for all here?
Well, if we look at who's ahead right now, it's definitely Marco. He's very good at getting his early conservation token, getting his early conservation cards down, so get all those conservation bonuses. But in this game, me personally, Victor was stealing all the cards I wanted, so he was my personal enemy.
Ah, I see.
I should probably stop throwing things when I'm knocking somebody's stuff over.
With him going before me, he has access to all the cards that I need.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the
Oh well.
what's the word I'm looking for? One of the I want to say perks. One of the facets of these type of games where like you might have a plan or a strategy that you're going for, but all it takes is one person doing one big thing on their turn. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, well, I can't do that anymore. You have to swerve off the road, go somewhere else.
I'm gonna build a series.
So, what exactly was Victor doing that, besides drawing the cards you wanted, that made him like sort of your rival in this game?
Well, as you mentioned before, with all those conservation goals, you need to meet a specific condition. And if 2 people are competing for the same condition, they're just sworn enemies. That's just how it works. It's all up to who gets to that condition first. It gets all the rewards, denying the other person. So if Victor's taking all the African cards, I'm having a less of a chance to get that conservation and catching up to Marco.
Do you remember what that conservation condition was exactly?
Most likely Africa, with having more African tags in your tableau.
Marco's going to get his first partnership. Looks like it's going to be Asia partnership. This far in the game, he's getting his first partnership, which you might think is a little weird, but I mean, Marco seems to know what he's doing.
I will take association action for 4. I'll do the
He's
4.
going to take the associate action for 4. He already has 3 of his cards upgraded. One of the things you will notice in this game, if you play a little bit more, is that you can only upgrade 4 cards. No matter how it goes, what you do, you can only upgrade 4 cards. So Aiden almost has a fully upgraded action list, which is kind of crazy at this point. Really ramped up his upgrading track. But yeah, he just did the association action for 4, which is basically I like to call the shop action in this game because it allows you to spin your worker and do something on that little shop board over there on the side. What is that out? What is that animal? The
Monkey.
monkey. This is a cute little monkey, dusky leaf monkey. It has the clever tag on it. After finishing this action, you may place any action card once. Yeah, I forget which player did it earlier, but basically this allows you to play an action. In this case, you have to play the animal action to play that, and then also bump it up to 2 instead of just leaving it at 1. Technically, you can do it for any action because it says any action, but effectively, it's an action economy kind of thing where like you would play that card, move 1 card down to 1, but then move another card that you don't really care for back down to 1 to make your other card get back up to 5 quicker. Looks like he's also playing the red deer, which allows him to share any existing enclosure of a herbivore with at least 3+ size. So that allows him to basically put more animals on the board without having to put as many buildings. Buildings will also take up space on the board, which sometimes you want because you do get bonuses for clearing certain spaces of your board. But also sometimes you don't necessarily want to do because it does cost a lot of money. And I think Aiden doesn't really have any money at this point. So he's going to have to find some ways to rectify that. However, Vian at this point does have a lot of money. Looks like he has like 26, and he's getting more. Okay. Passing it back over to Marco here. Marco's thinking about what to do. He's got a whole bunch on his board. Got 3 different open enclosures, 1 of 2 sides and 2 of 3 sides. And he's got what looks like nothing but animals in his hand. Oh no, he's got a sponsorship in there. He's got his animal action at 5 on upgrade it. He is gonna go with the animals action.
I'm gonna play the
Going to
cougar.
play the cougar,
10. Just transfer it up there.
which is allow him it's going to allow him to move the break token up a little bit.
I get 5 appeal for red. 5 appeal. Advance the break token 3 spaces. Damn. And I get
Just like that, Marco is back in the lead with appeal.
Then for my second card, I'm gonna do this. Here's a 2.
Gonna play the Sun Bear. That little handshake icon on the side there means that he needed the partnership to play that, which is why he got the Asia partnership. If he did not have the Asia partnership, he would not be able to play that.
-3, so he's 13.
But this allows him to actually take the association action just for free, which is kind of crazy because right now, as you can see in his action list, his association action would be at 2,
Yeah.
which
Getting 5
isn't the weakest, but being able to just play it for free basically means he like had 2 turns.
Let's go to the end, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it says after finishing the current action, you may perform the associated action at 3, which I will.
Well, actually, because of the order of events, he actually gets to play that association action at level 3 instead of 2. Yeah, he had to move his list up a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, he's gonna be playing that association action at 3, which is even better.
Give me Africa.
That gets you a card upgrade.
Yes.
So after seeing this play by Marco,
Yeah.
what were you thinking about doing next? As it comes over to Aiden's turn, what are you
Nice.
thinking?
I still don't think I have my elephant down.
2, 3, 4, 5.
I believe last turn I just did a maximum sponsorship action to get enough credits to play all that giant enclosure and that giant animal.
Yeah, I think that's one of the drawbacks of drawing, or not drawing, but also sort of drawing, but also playing really big animals, is that it might take you a little bit to set up. Because not only do you need to have the money to play the animal, you also need the money to build the enclosure, which in of itself takes a full action to do. Which, depending on the way your actions are oriented on a list, you may not have the exact timing to play that big enclosure. So you might need to like play a few other actions to get your build action up so that you can then play the build action. And then you have to do some other stuff to get your animal action up so you can actually play the animal as well.
Play cards, break 2.
Also, as we just speak from Aiden actually has 4 cards upgraded now. So he's fully upgraded. So from here on out, he's gonna start really doing some high value plays.
Because I played it at 3.
Okay.
I think you just saw right now one of the reasons Victor's my sworn enemy. He just broke right before I played that elephant, which denied me a whole lot of income for my snowball.
This card down to 5.
You can see I am very angry.
Good. We're all good with hand size, right? Okay. Tokens that we replenish the board.
No burn. This one. Only this one. No one has taken that on yet.
Double signs.
So were you prioritizing? What were you prioritizing in terms of animals? Like, what were you looking for in terms of tags here? Or were you kind of just playing whatever you got with you? Because I know you had the elephant, but was there anything else after that? Because you have a lot of Africa tags.
Looks like I have all African tags, a lot of Australian tags. So most likely trying to play any of those. Well, my main focus was just having fun because I love this game. I believe you can also see in my tableau, I have a sponsorship card that gives me bonus income based on how many herbivores I have in my zoo.
Yeah, so you played that earlier.
Income first. Active player. I guess
Also, you have 2. I forget what the actual name for them. You have 2 X tokens here.
2 initiative tokens.
Initiative tokens.
Allows you to play actions at a higher power.
No.
Your income.
Income.
16 off of appeal and
Plus
then
3.
basic plus 3.
Yes.
19.
Well, also, if it wasn't obvious already, the amount of income each player gets is based somewhat off their appeal. So Marco having 25 appeal already means that he's, getting a lot of income just from that. This definitely is a game of bigger number, better person kind of deal, where like you want your numbers to go up. Number go up, number go up is good. So the more you have of something, generally, the better you're going to perform. And as you saw there, Marco just got a giant 20 value token because he's at 25 appeal. So that alone is like 20 plus income just from that. And he also had a kiosk there, so a little extra on top there. So where he was before, where he had almost no money, he is now probably the richest player in the game right now. Very good position.
What the hell is it called? What's my thing at? Appeal? Yeah.
Your appeal. Yeah, you are your boots. You're at 15.
So I get 20, and then I'll get one more for my kiosk. So that's 20.
Did we discard 2 sets of card ring?
We already did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I snapped. So then that's the.
Okay.
Turn the volume up here a little bit. Listen to what the players are saying.
Active player BVN, right?
Yes.
Right. Let's keep going. Yeah.
So much more money than I can do.
All right.
Another one of these long break phases. Everyone's sort of looking at what they got, deciding what they're going to do. For the players that don't have that special size token down there with all 5 cards on it, they have to discard down to 5. For players that do have it, or not down to 5, they have to discard down to 3. For players that do have it, they have to discard down to 5. But looks like we finally got the elephant off here.
Right before we did a break. If Victor did not break right before this, I would have all this appeal that I would have got would have went towards my income.
Oh yeah, that Senegal Bush baby giving you 1 appeal for each Africa icon and all zoos. As you said earlier, Victor was playing a bunch of Africa stuff too, I believe, or at least he was taking Africa cards.
Plus
19.
39.
That should have given you, I gave you a bunch of appeal. At this point in the game, you're at 37 now.
A massive jump in appeal, but as we just did our break, I missed out on all that income last turn.
Yeah.
Victor,
gotten
you
more
are my
income
sworn
than-
enemy.
Yeah, you would have gotten more income than Marco.
They do that. I forgot.
Draw 2 final scoring cards, keep 1, discard the other.
Once you get the abilities.
And with that, the turn passes over to Marco.
Is that right?
Yes. These discards are just them. There's a second elephant.
Marco only has 1 open conservation, or not conservation, enclosure on his zoo. He's got 3 of his upgrades ready. Trying to figure out what to do. Once again, he is currently in the lead. He's got a pretty good position. Trying to figure out how to keep it.
Here's the move. Number for 2, and then I can draw with my reputation range. I'm gonna draw this one.
Gonna do his card action so he can snap from the
And then I would take
card line. I think the proper name for it.
this one.
He's gonna snap 2 cards
I believe the proper name is the display.
of the display.
The
Thank
display
you.
of animals.
There we go.
Okay.
I'll do builds.
Back to Aiden over here.
I will take the build action at 4.
Aiden's gonna take the build action at 4 instead of taking his cards action at 5. Even though he has 3 open enclosures already and what is practically an empty reptilian enclosure, he's still gonna take that build action. Oh, he's gonna build a kiosk, trying to get some income up there.
Second kiosk.
He built that on a space that had a kiosk marker on it, which allows him to build another kiosk immediately for free. Once again, each kiosk gives him 1 extra income.
And up.
He also put the other kiosk on an initiative token, so you get an initiative token. Those kiosks have to be placed a little bit of a distance away from each other, so that's their main penalty. But once again, each chaos does give you 1 extra income. So looks like Aiden's setting up for bigger turns later. I wonder what he's going to be putting in those enclosures. So after you got your elephant out here, what was your next plan of action?
Next plan? Was I supposed to have one? Hmm. Well, well, that had enough appeal. I should just have enough money to play any animal that I want. Which may or may not be a play, but who knows?
Yeah, you do have a bunch of appeal, but what was your plans on getting conservation?
Conservation, there's an African conservation that I was eyeing the entire game.
Oh, right.
I should now have enough for the highest level conservation goal.
Oh yeah, sure you could do
Yeah, you have what looks like five conservation tokens, or not
Plus-
conservation African tokens.
In fact, 5 plus my conservation zoo, partner zoo, those also count towards
Oh
any
yeah, the partner
icons.
zoos also count. I forgot. Yes.
Discard one to my hand and gain 3.
Is you can kind of see it here as the camera goes back. Looks like you're trying to go for a little hard to get what the cameras. You're trying to go for this conservation right there. That one's gonna give you a bunch of points.
Where do you get the money from?
Yeah.
From portability.
Yeah.
Just
Mm.
And for free.
okay. And
So as you're at this point in the game,
I pay the next.
you obviously have a bunch of appeal, as we just discussed, and you have no conservation. Do you feel like any pressure from the other players, especially Marco and Aiden? Or are you sort of like it's sort of like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do, and when I do that, I'm gonna be fine. Sort of mood.
Well, the thing about being so far behind in conservation is that I don't have to worry about racing towards it anymore. So
That's true.
all I need to do is go for the high value ones, the ones that make the most sense for my board.
True. All right. We might be getting one of our other players here soon. So thank you for joining me, Vian.
No problem.
One final question before we switch out. Did you enjoy your time playing this game?
I love Ark Nova. It's one of my favorite games.
Right. Well, thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Joining me here is the red player in the top left, Marco himself. So Marco, as you've been watching so far, you've got a pretty healthy lead. You got a bunch of appeal and conservation, and you just played the Waza large animal program under sponsorship.
I have a 5-space enclosure. Yeah.
What was your mind at going through at this point? Were you sort of like, oh, I'm ahead, I don't need to worry, or were you sort of like locked in the entire time, even though you have such a big lead right now?
Yeah, for me, whenever I'm playing, anytime whenever I play a game, I don't ever think I'm winning. I always play as if I'm behind, and I need to just keep gaining more points as it goes on.
Okay. Did you have a general game plan or strategy going in, like, oh, I'm gonna prioritize getting as many different continents, or are you more like, I'll just see what I have and I'll go for that?
Usually, whenever I play Ark Nova, the goal is to have at least in my hand, beginning hand, I have 8 cards, and I only pick 4 to keep. Of the 4 cards I keep, one of them I want to keep is a conservation project. Another one is I want to play at least a large animal, and then at least 1 or 2 sponsors. Therefore, that when it gets to the point, I can at least play 1 sponsorship, 2 sponsorships, and then if I need to, I can break. But usually, I just want to use my association so I can get a conservation point. So I can immediately get the boost, because whenever you get the boost, at least 2 shields or something like that, right? You immediately upgrade a card, or you could hire another worker, right? And that is such a big deal in the early game that'll help in the long term.
I noticed earlier you were one of the last players to get even a single partnership. I think you got partnership Asia first. What was the deal with that? Was it just more valuable stuff on the board for you to do, or was that sort of like, I don't have really good time to get a partnership right now, so I'll just get it later?
Usually, whenever by the time like the break happens, if I recall, I was not the one to have the opportunity to get those partner zoos, and usually the ones that I had, I was sticking with what I with already what I had. My goal was to just play large animals and see if I can like get that going, because one large animal can mean so much more than spending one turn or spending like multiple turns playing multiple small animals.
So going through this game, you're pretty well known in the board game club. Uh, how did you feel competing in the board game club? Because usually you're actually doing stuff behind the scenes because you're actually the board game club president currently, right?
Yeah, so usually I'm behind the scenes. I'm usually teaching people games, right? But with the experience, for me to teach games, I need to know the game.
Mm.
So whenever it gets to something like Ark Nova, the game is so complicated and so complex, right? That I would need to have such extensive knowledge of the game. So whenever I get into a game that I need to win, I know what I'm doing. There's multiple strategies I want to do, and I'll be able to, push through, right? Because if I teach a game and I'm not really good at it, I can't really tell people like strategies, how to win, how to min max their turns. It might be like sluggish. So for me, in order to know, like teach the game, I need to know the game.
Speaking of knowing the games and getting up to here, can you talk more about your journey getting up to the grand finals? What it was like? What kind of challenges you faced and whatnot? I think you and I believe the other player, Aiden, actually got a bye the first round. How did you think that affected your odds of getting to the grand final?
I don't think it affected me at all because I was very confident that I'll win those games, right? And so as each game I was going on, my first one, and when I went against Eli, um, it was Cascadia. Pretty simple, right? You just try to make some patterns and you combine specific animals. And I was getting that pretty easily. There were like habitat tokens used to like help resolve specific animals. He was struggling, I was not. And so clearly I was like, I felt comfortable playing those games. And as it went on, I did not feel worried. We got to Wingspan, and whenever we played Wingspan, I'm very confident in this game. I know how to use this very well. The other person had some struggles, so I did not feel nervous. It was not until it was Ark Nova where I'm like, okay, clearly I am now against players who are high seeds, have experience with these games, that I know that if I'm going to play this game, I have to be serious and I have to lock in.
Okay, very, very confident in your ability. I see, I see. Okay. Did you do a lot of preparation for Ark Nova? Were you playing games beforehand? Or are you kind of just like, all right, this is it. I'm just going to show up and I'm going to try my best?
So I did practice many of the games. Usually my goal is to keep with the strategy that I've known, and then there's this YouTuber I watch that just like plays board games competitively,
Oh, okay.
and so I'll just watch him play, and he'll go, "This is what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing. Here's why I'm doing this move." And my goal of whenever I'm like playing a game is, why is it that I'm doing this? What is the significance of me making this one move when I could be making another move that may or may not benefit me?
All right, it's very confident, very competitive. Definitely shows in your play style here because you definitely hold the lead for a while. And even though you may not have the most appeal right now, that conservation matters a lot. So I would say you're still in the lead right here. So definitely, what you're saying does definitely show in your actual actions. Uh, but what was your? Do you remember exactly what you were doing at this point in time and what your strategy was?
It's my turn. I will be playing.
At this point, my goal was just to
So I will get
continue trying to draw the cards that I need, because I noticed that some people were slow, but they were looking for specific cards to play that they can then use as a conservation point. And so if I can block that, right, I can deny them getting points and still slowly for me like continue upward by regaining the tickets that I need, so that I can at least offset it.
So we'd say at this point you have kind of like handled your side of the board now. You're now looking more at other people's boards and trying to interact with that.
Yes. So because have such a lead specifically with the conservation points, right? I'm able to see what are other players playing so that I can see like what they need, right? Are they looking for this animal? I'll take it. Do they need a specific sponsor card? I will take it, because I'm at the point now where if I'm so far ahead, I need to keep that lead.
So you're being a menace. I see.
Yes, exactly.
17
What was your
because it is.
were you feeling any pressure from the other players? Was there any point where you're like, oh, I need to watch out for this guy? Or was there any point where you're like, oh, that guy made like a really good play. Now I got to change my entire game plan.
Usually in a game like Ark Nova, there's not really much of a need to pivot. Usually, if you can build a good engine in the beginning and you can stick with it, you can move on pretty well. The only time where it becomes a problem where you need to pivot is if you have so many things going on at once, so that you go, okay, I have like, I don't know, a herbivore, I have a predator, I have a bird, right? You go, I have just little things. Where in conservation points, you need many of one thing, right? You need to specialize. So for me, because I was so focused really early in the game, I did not have to worry about that. Where other players, they may have to go, I have only one of everything. I need to find cards that can help me, synergize with what I have.
Yeah, because I noticed Aiden, who just saw his hand in his tableau, he had like a bunch of reptiles. Like he was full on reptiles.
Yeah, so reptiles are not the strongest, but if you have multiple of the same, type, right, it's relatively strong. And at some point, if you find like the conservation project that says like reptiles in your zoo, right, he can then play that card, right?
Yeah, you can really cash in on it.
On my end, I'm looking for that conservation project so I can have it in my hand and at some point discard it so he will never have the opportunity to find it.
So you're not necessarily looking for reptiles, you're just looking for the reptile bonus card effectively. Like you are allowing him to get more reptiles because the more and more effort he invests in reptiles, it won't matter if you get the conservation that multiplies your points from reptiles.
Yes, exactly. And so that's why I'm like playing birds, because birds is not really that much of a factor. But at some point I would release these birds to get as many points as possible, right? Because birds are not really much of a priority for me. And in the long term, I'm looking for large animals to play that can make me do multiple things in one turn.
Can you talk a little bit more about the release mechanic? I don't think we talked about it earlier. I'm not too familiar with it. How does releasing work? What does it do for you?
So releasing is a conservation project for you to claim, which is, let's say I have played a bird, a large bird, okay? If I have a bird, I can do the association action at 5 and play a conservation card from my hand, which will be a release, which means I'm going to take an animal from my zoo and discard it basically. And depending on how large the animal is, I'll get conservation points in exchange. So what I would do is I'll play a large animal, which will give me a lot of appeal, which will then also give me a lot of income. Then after the first break, I'll get my income and then I'll immediately release, and then my appeal goes back down. So I'm not losing, income if I were to do it one turn before and then the break happens and I actually get less money out of it.
I see.
So I'm waiting for that to play. When I release it, I'll get multiple conservation points. So much so that I would hope that I'll get multiple of those bonuses. Because if you're the first to surpass, I think it's 5 and then 8, you'll get a bonus of your choice. And if I'm the first one, I get first dibs on that.
I see. So, for lack of a better term, you're really juicing the animals. You're putting them in there. You're getting all their like good stuff out. You're juicing them. You're squeezing them, and then when they're dry, you're just dumping them out.
Yes, that's the point, right? The point in this is I'm trying to min max, right? How much can I get out of this animal or out of this card before I would need to let go of it?
Okay. So I know Aiden is probably. Actually, I was gonna say Aiden's probably your biggest contender here, but I'm looking over at VN now. VN actually has 6 conservation points, just like Aiden. So your other opponents are like getting more and more points. So at this point in the game, what are you sort of thinking about each player? Like, are you thinking like, okay, I need to watch this player more? I know you said something about Aiden and like making sure to get that conservation project that has the reptiles on it, allowing him to get more reptiles so that his investment ends up failing. But like, what are you thinking about VN now that he's actually second place at this point in time?
Yeah, so I was looking at VN and Victor over here, what they were playing, because they're continuously playing animals. So in my head, I go, okay, I need to start playing animals as well. I need to play a large animal so I can at least offset that appeal difference, because the appeal will determine your income. So if I have low appeal, I'll get low income. If they have high appeal, they get much more income, and then they'll then use that income to either build more buildings or play larger animals than I can, right? And so that's my goal, is to offset that. So then therefore we have like maybe a 1 or 2 coin difference, and then I can still catch up in the long term. But that's what I'm worried about. I'm seeing what animals are they playing, how big is it, and how much more appeal will I then need to play like an animal so I can offset that.
I'm just gonna snap and I'm gonna take.
I notice 'cause you have a very different play style than the other players. Like I think Aiden, for the most part, I might be wrong, but it looks like he focused more on upgrading his board. He got a whole bunch of partnerships. He upgraded all of his cards. He unlocked more of his workers. A lot quicker than most other players. Like right now, he's moving one of his tokens onto a conservation project, getting a little bit more of an income bonus. Uh, what was your sort of like mentality with manipulating your board? Were you more like, oh, I don't need to upgrade everything, I just need to upgrade this one thing and focus on this? Or were you also trying to like once again look at other players and be like, okay, well they're upgrading that, so I should do this instead?
Yeah, so it gets to a point where I noticed that whatever, if they're all upgraded the same thing, I will probably need to upgrade the same, because if you do not upgrade a specific card, you do not get the benefit of that upgraded card. So if they upgrade like animals level 2, they're probably going to start playing large animals. I would need to play, I would need to upgrade that card as well, so I can also play large animals to offset what they play, or go up on the reputation track. I need to, follow up on the reputation track, so I'll then need to upgrade probably the card action. So if I upgrade the card action, I can, draw more cards, and then that's whenever I have more a sense of denying what to draw. So as in, like, if Aiden's looking for reptile, I can draw that. I have the opportunity to draw that.
One of the things that the players are doing right now, to get a little bit extra points, is they're using their association actions to get these donations, which is basically just, I have extra money, I want extra conservation. The more, oh, I'm not sure, maybe I did this wrong, but the more conservation you have, the better. So if you have a bunch of extra money, you're not spending it, and you have an association action, you might as well spend it on donations, right?
Yes, you should. However, I'm at the point, how I feel personally is, if I can just continuously play conservation cards, I see no reason to spend my money on getting one more shield. Whereas other players are struggling to get a conservation project, so their only way of trying to catch up to me is by paying to gain a shield, and they're going to start paying significantly more for it just to catch up to me. When I can just play a card, I'll play this card and I get 5 conservation point on that one turn.
So you have a very reactive, very like listen and see what other people are doing play style, which makes sense because you're in the lead. But at the beginning of the game, where you're not necessarily in the lead, how does that change? Like, how did you shift into that reactive play style, or were you always that from the beginning and we just couldn't tell?
Usually in the beginning, as I mentioned, right, I'm trying to focus on one thing, right? Focus on a conservation project, focus on a specific sponsorship that can help me with the conservation project, or animals that can help me with the same thing. And then after that point where I feel comfortable going, I'm at a good point, I can then, you know, slowly shift to my goals. But it will still be the same as specializing what I have, but I'll just start slowly denying or taking stuff away from other players.
Yeah, one of the things to note here, speaking of denying players, is that obviously you're the red player, and this is your conservation track, and this is your appeal track. As I said earlier at the beginning of the game, the way the game ends is when these two markers of any one player, so in this case just Marcos, when they cross over each other. At this point in the game, I would say this is probably like halfway, because like both of your markers are like halfway through each track, and when they meet up here, that's when the game is going to end. So what are you thinking at this point, seeing how much points you've amassed, and you're like, okay, I'm rapidly approaching the end of the game?
Yeah, so at this point, whenever I see that I have such a huge lead, I'm trying to slow down and see what can I do to maximize this one turn. If it means playing grabbing a sponsorship card where I know that it'll give me points at the end of the game. That's my goal now. Where I go, when I hit that intersection, I now need end game cards of some kind, right? Such as sponsorship cards, to give me more points so I can increase that lead after it crosses.
I noticed people haven't been really moving up their, I think it's the reputation track in these last few turns. How useful was, I know you snapped 2 times, or you snapped 2 cards at once, one of these past few rounds. How useful would you say snapping is, specifically to this game? Not like in general, but just this game. How useful was the snaps?
The main point that I used to snap was to deny. Clearly, if I see someone like Aiden, or in this case, Vien, looking for a card that I see based on their zoo, I will purposely snap it because I don't want him to get those extra points at the end of the game. especially if it's one of those sponsorship cards, or like at the end of the game, gain a shield based on whatever the thing is. And so by me taking that card, they're not getting a shield at the end of the game, and I have the potential to then play it and then play it myself and then get that shield. Right. In that case, I'll be a 2 shield difference. Right. I gain one and then they did not get one.
Oh, I would mean to ask the other players here before, but as we said earlier, each board has different qualities about it. What made you want to pick your board? And can you tell us more about the qualities of your specific board? Like, what does it do that the regular board doesn't do?
So on my board, if I recall, this zoo has a specific location, specific gate, where if there's any like building next to it, it increases the size of the enclosure by 2. So if I have a 1 size enclosure, it could go up to 3. A 3 size animal could live in there, which is why I want to play large animals, right? If I play a 3 size enclosure, actually fits 5. If I put a 2 size enclosure, it fits 4. And I save so much room by playing large animals in that one area. So I can therefore play larger animals and spread out more. And then one large animal can mean a difference of like 10 appeal. And that's such a massive thing.
Well, I was told that you guys got the choice between 2 different boards. You remember what your other board choice was, or was it something just so like massively like not as good as this board? You were like, I don't care about it.
The other one was not. I did not remember, because this one I believe was so good for this moment. Because my goal was to release an animal at some point, and by having this enclosure, I'm able to play such a small space, have a large animal in it, and then release it, and then I could just have another point where I can do that, where I can play more large animals.
I will do the cards action.
You can really juice those animals. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if saying juice the animals is weird, but that's the going phrase I have now.
No, yeah, that's the point, right? Like large animals, you need to take whatever you can out of it, because they help with so much. Whereas if someone plays like 2 small animals, it's not really going to do much.
I'll spend the next.
Okay, so it looks like you guys did go into break a little bit earlier. So now I think we're on Victor's turn. Victor has a lot of animals. I don't think he's taking that whole release strategy that you were describing earlier.
So I lose 4.
Yes. So one of the things that Victor is he's new. He's only played Ark Nova maybe 2 or 3 times, just a couple of times, right? And so the goal that I'm trying to do is that I was also teaching him the game, because I wanted him to not just like struggle in the game, but at least have a fighting chance to the point where he can start making. He himself, when he's playing, can be a threat. And then people have to watch him, so people don't have to just only watch me. And so right here at the moment, he's not playing his conservation points because he's not focused on that. But I think at some point later on, he'll begin to realize that. And he goes, I need to start getting conservation points.
There's a little bit interesting dynamic there, playing against the people that you helped teach the game as well, and seeing them like get this far into the championship and having to actually contend with them.
Yes.
At any point feel like, oh, I might go a little bit easier on them for that, or you're like, no, it's out for blood?
No, because he's specifically competing, I wanted him to play against him as if I was actually competing against him, right? Because for him, when he was learning these games, I told Michael, you gotta really try to win. Because if you never try to win, at some point when you're in a real competition, you're not gonna know how it feels when you actually try to win, when you put in all your effort. If the whole time if every game you play, when you put in 20% effort, you're not gonna feel the difference. And when you do put in 100% effort, you're gonna go, this feels different. I'm a lot more nervous. I'm shaky. Now you're like having all these other scenarios that's different when you could have been going 100% since the beginning. And that's what I told him.
Okay. Going back to Marco's turn. Marco just got, I forget the official term for those buildings you buy. But it looks like you got another one this time. You got the science token and a reputation. Everyone's got a decent amount of appeal now. Vienzo has the most, which he got most of that from playing that monkey and that elephant earlier.
Yeah, Vienna's playing a lot of cards that make him like either pouch or tuck or do some kind of thing that gives him more appeal for the amount of cards he has in his hands. And by doing that, he's able to, discard cards he doesn't want, and then he's basically exchanging it for more income by increasing his appeal, right? And the more, like as I mentioned, the more appeal you have, the more income you will get during the break.
Yes, I'll make a size 2
Okay.
character for 4. I can get a size 2.
So at what point in the game did you really truly feel like you were like untouchable, or like you don't need to worry anymore? Were you always on edge? You were always like, I gotta keep reacting to everyone and everything they're doing.
Yeah, like I said, I always play the game as if I'm losing.
Right.
So I want to make sure that no matter what I do, I'm up ahead. This goes not just for Ark Nova, but any game I play, right? I don't want to play a game that I know other players are trying to win and then just go like, oh, I'm good, right? Very,
And I get to
that's my point, right? Is I want to make sure that I win pretty easily by pretending or by having the mindset I'm losing.
What did you think looking at Aiden's board here and seeing all of these open enclosures?
Yeah, but playing all those open enclosures, my mindset is I think he's trying to play more animals, or he's going to find more animals that he wants. And so I noticed by the continents he has, if he has not claimed those continents for the project, conservation projects, my goal would be to try to take that away. So those empty enclosures stay empty, and he does not get, the benefit from playing animals, right? Because the worst thing you could do in this game is waste space, especially if you're always building and then nothing comes out of it, right? You spend money building it, and if you end up spending money, you take a turn building it that costs money, and then you spend so much time trying to play something for it, only for it to stay empty for the rest of the game. That is such a waste of space. The only other time where you build multiple times and leave it empty is if you're trying to get the bonuses on the board, which could make a difference. But more often than not, it would just be like, get $5, draw a card of your choice, right? Unless it's absolutely necessary, I'll only build when it's necessary.
Here gets a reputation.
I noticed a lot of other players are building kiosk, but it looks like you only really built one kiosk. And I'm guessing that's mostly because of the fact that you got to a point where you had enough appeal that your income was like sustainable. Whereas other players had to build or felt like they needed to build more kiosk because they wanted that extra income earlier. Was that kind of that kind of get that right, or is there another reason why you weren't building as many kiosks as other players?
Yeah, so the reason I was building kiosks and or pavilions was because there is a specific sponsor card that I played that played a building which was a side entrance, if I recall. And it'll give you income if you have unique buildings adjacent to it. So my goal was to build either a pavilion or a closure or something next to it so I can use it so I can get more income because I am so far behind on appeal, or I believe I'm far behind on appeal. Right, Vienna is at such a high point where I go, I need to get more money. I need to offset it. So by playing that, I'm able to gain more without playing an animal that I did not think was necessary. And I also use like little one spaces because I'm trying to plan out like different size enclosures to build. If I need to build a 5 size enclosure, I would need to build, like probably a 1 size that will then open up to another one.
Okay.
We should just come with consensus. Should we let him reply?
Was there ever like a moment in the game in which you felt like something big had just happened? Like, was there ever a moment where you were like, "Oh, this is a really big turning point," or was it all just like, "I'll react to this, I'll react to that, I'll react to this, I'll react to that"? Was there ever a moment where you were like, "Oh, okay, this is it. This is the game calling moment"?
Yeah, so at this point in the game, there isn't because I do not have an animal in my hand, if I recall, that I go, this is the card that I need to play to end the game. Usually it's like near the very end where everyone's relatively close that they could end the game, where I feel threatened and I go, I need to find that one thing to play in order to win. And then if I were to play it, that'll be a decisive strike, and it'll be such to a point where I win so much through that one card, either a sponsor card or an animal, that I feel confident that I can win and I should be able to end it in such a way that I know I can't lose.
Well, one last question. I'll ask, just like I asked Vian, did you enjoy playing Ark Nova for the grand finals?
Yes, I love playing Ark Nova. This is one of the few games where I enjoy playing so much because there's a lot of different components in the game that you look at, right? And this is one of those games where if you have a clear understanding of the game and you have a well-depth knowledge of it, you can win. You can win confidently. There is very little randomness other than drawing, right, to play, but all the actions are dependent on you and how well you use those moves. And that is why I love Ark Nova, and I'm so happy that this was the final.
Do you like it more than Terraforming Mars?
No, I love Terraform Mars. That's my favorite board game.
All right.
But this is like up there.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Marco.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me here.
He's doing right now. He's doing it right now. Paying right now.
5.
Then he'll gain 5 from that, right?
And I have joining me back again, Brandon. Welcome back.
All right, welcome me back. Dude, Marco has such a good voice. Oh man, y'all have to now listen to me. Okay, so how we have here. Okay, so it looks like Vian is playing Tasmanian Devil, which you may place 1 card from your hand under this card to gain 2 appeal. He's gonna paste down, I believe, just 1 animal under the card, which would give just 2 more appeal. And now he's at 51 appeal, 51 tickets.
That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, like Marco was saying earlier, VM played a lot of cards that had like pouch and like other keywords on it. Pouch being the keyword that allowed him to place 1 card underneath the other card. So he was gaining a lots of appeal and drawing and discarding a lot of cards. So he had a lot of income, but in terms of actually doing stuff with it, he kind of struggled to actually end up getting the conservation, which, as we said earlier, much earlier, conservation is very important.
Yeah, conservation is so important. It is honestly like it's very underrated because you don't think that like oh, you only have like what 15 or 8 or 6 conservation points. It doesn't look like a lot, but remember like these conservation points. We even see it just through like these here, right? They cover like 3 space each for every point, and that just escalates, throughout the game. And we're gonna see that as we get through towards the end game. I believe right now we're in like the middle of the pack. I feel like we're kind of halfway through the game. I'm pretty sure, maybe literally towards the later half of the game. And yeah, right now Aiden is what is Aiden doing? Oh, yeah, I believe he's just paying for association.
I think it was association. Might be wrong.
Okay. All right, but yeah, now we're back to Victor's turn. He's gonna pay an X token.
Initiative, yeah.
Oh, it's called initiative.
Yeah.
Okay,
I learned that too.
Oh yeah, right. We're both learning here. It's so funny. That's why you have the experts to talk here. But yeah, he's gonna be playing animals. He's gonna play that raccoon. Gonna give him 4 tickets. And he's gonna be able to place an association card on a 1 or 5 after finishing this action, which would either help him with his action rotations or just let him do association at 5. Which is honestly really good either way.
That was a little weird thing there. The raccoon has a bear tag on it. Are raccoons technically like bears? Never noticed that.
I think it's talking about like it's a predator.
Oh, predator, maybe. Okay, maybe that's what I thought the red tag was the predator tag, but
yeah, I believe this one's like a reptile tag, the purple one. And yeah, it's gonna be the Galapagos giant tortoise.
Actually, I haven't seen one, but one of my sisters, they saw a Galapagos giant tortoise, and like obviously it's in the name giant tortoise, but like my sister, she's kind of short. She's like I think 5'6" or so.
Okay.
But when she went up to the Galapagos tortoise, it was like like she could like lay flat on it, and it still wouldn't cover the entire tortoise.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Okay.
Move this up to the 5.
So right now we're just. This is Victor's turn again, right?
I think this is Victor's turn. Yes.
Oh,
He
okay.
just played the animal's action because he just moved it down.
Oh, okay. It's just been a long turn. My bad.
Yeah. Jumped up a bunch of appeal.
Oh
Now
my
at 40.
gosh. Yeah.
However, like VN, his conservation is still kind of low.
Yeah, that's kind of like the the pros and cons of having a high appeal. You know, if you're focusing a lot of placing animals, you're not focusing enough on placing, not placing, but doing more actions that give you conservation points. Hey, Marco's gonna play the grizzly bear. It's also a predator. He's just going for that whole predator, I don't know, play style here.
This bear is pretty strong. Gives him an association worker for free, which of course he only has one left to unlock. And it gives him an initiative token for every bear icon, which,
Mhm.
as we were talking about earlier, apparently that raccoon is technically a bear, so it gave him a bear icon for that. Even though it wasn't in his zoo, he
Right.
gets that like extra initiative token. So now he's at like 3 initiative tokens.
Wow.
That's sick, which is pretty crazy. But
Yeah.
also, as you can see here, as Marco said when he was in the seat, this is his special board. It's a little like gate right here.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, that's what's giving him a bunch of extra power. I think, as he said, he gets extra
Wow.
income. I think for each like unique little building he places around. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, with that gate specifically, it makes it so that all of his enclosures that are touching it are +2. So that
Whoa.
empty 2 space enclosure that he has there actually fits up to 4, and those threes actually end up fitting up to 5. And so you can put really big animals in them, even though they're not the biggest enclosures.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that, I mean, that scales up over time, right? He already has that surrounded. So from here on out, he's gaining the benefits every turn. And that's just wild, you know?
Gonna play the broad snouted caiman, I think is how you pronounce that.
Uh-huh.
From the snap immediately, any card from the display, which normally would be really strong because of the fact that if you play that early and you don't have a lot of reputation, you can snap something that's outside of your reputation range. But I think Marco has
Yeah.
most reputation right now. Yeah, he's the red marker up here. Get this. He's a red marker up here, so he has the most reputation. So he would be able to snap that even without the Kaiman allowing him to do it, but still, a free snap is a free snap. So
Right.
Go.
Yeah. And the great thing about snapping, of course, right? You get to see what card you're drawing. You know, it's not going to be random, just from face down the draw pile there.
yeah, he probably did that, as he said earlier, to prevent someone else from getting that card.
Mhm.
I have done 3 conservation, so I will.
Oh, he's playing Medical Breakthrough.
Wow.
This is a crazy card. So obviously it requires 4 science tokens. That's what those red ribbons on the side mean. So it's very investment heavy, but he's now getting conservation as income. So every
Yes.
time it breaks, he gets an extra conservation. So he is scaling. And he's only 2 conservation behind Marco right now. So that's only 2 turns and he needs to wait. Unless Marco does supposed to get conservation, and he'll be like right at his heels.
Yeah, that's probably the best card in the game, in my opinion. Like medical, like getting 1 conservation point every round, right? Like every time that coffee breaks, you're gaining an extra viewpoint, you know? And like the difference between 1 conservation point is a big deal in this game.
Mm.
So that's just crazy.
Got a little bit of rain there, a little festive.
Okay, I like that.
It's almost summer, but you know,
Yeah,
not too
it's
late
pretty
to be
cheap.
festive.
Like
Yeah.
$12 for a reindeer. I mean, I wouldn't expect that.
Also, because it's a flock animal, he can place it in any enclosure that already has a herbivore, and that has 3+ space. So he basically is saving space by just
Oh,
having that put there.
yeah. You know, you don't want, I guess, your board to fill up too fast, or else, yeah, you just won't have any more animals to play, and you like kind of limit yourself.
Yeah, it's a cheap little animal. It doesn't really do much, but you can, because it's cheap, play it for pretty low cost. So it's
Mhm.
nice little like fluff to increase your appeal.
Yes, yeah, yeah. When things are cheaper, that's always good in this game.
It's like Vian just spent a whole bunch of his money.
Wow. I think is he about to play a card, or did he already play a card? Maybe I lost track.
I'm not sure why he spent so much money on that. I think he did a build action.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I think I did see him place an enclosure. He's looking at his cards. He's looking for something on the display. Um, and yeah. Oh, he's paying something. Oh, wait. Okay. I think he's trying to prepare for himself to snap. In like the later future action. So he's building like a 5 enclosure. Maybe there's something on a display that's like worth 5.
Mm.
Or else, like, yeah, maybe he wouldn't really be looking at the display that much. But yeah. Oh, look at that. There we go. He is snapping, and he just grabbed that card. I guess he has like a thing to where like after he builds, he can like snap a card. Is
Yeah,
that you think
maybe.
that's right?
Yeah, over the
Yeah, I wasn't looking at his cards
yeah
at all, so
I
I
have to
don't really
like
know.
rewatch to see what exactly what he did, but yeah.
There's so much that happens in this game. Like I honestly forget.
He
Because
did
turns get
snap.
long, you know.
He did snap a conservation project.
He did.
So
Definitely.
either he's taking a card or a page out of Marco's book and he snapped that so no one else could get it, or he has the requirements to meet that. However, if he's gonna play that conservation project, he's gonna need to use his association card, which he does have at level 5, which is what he needs.
Yeah.
But also, he's gonna have to like get the chance to play that, which I'm not sure exactly if he's gonna have the chance to play that. Oh, Aiden's snapping 2 cards now, 2 different cards. Yeah, if he wants to play that conservation project, he's also going to need to effectively knock out one of the other conservation projects on the tableau on the right there. As you can see,
Mhm.
there are green cards, 2 rows of green cards at the bottom, at the top. Those are all conservation projects. You can only have so many in the game,
Yeah.
and once someone tries to play another conservation project, it knocks some of the rest out.
Right. Yeah. Well, are you saying like, for example, when one person places down their conservation here, or are you talking about over here?
Uh,
That blocks it out.
I'm talking about the bottom row, like the bottom and top rows,
Oh, okay, okay.
because you can only have so many of those green cards attached to the
Right.
tableau at once.
Okay, okay. Yeah, those ones always confuse me because like there's already so much stuff to look at on the left side of the board, and we also look on the right side of the board, and there's also more stuff to get points, more stuff to play for. And yeah, it's kind of like there's so many options for these players. They could go really just any route. It really just depends on what everyone else does, you know, and that kind of determines what your options are.
Yeah, looks like Victor is playing a conservation project, which is a thing that Vienne might be trying to do later. You can tell because he placed one of his workers on the 5 or the number 5 slot on the little shop over here at the
Yeah.
right. You can mark that. So he has 3 workers on that conservation project spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that allows him to place his markers here on these conservation projects, which is what he just did here, which allows him to get a bunch of extra conservation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only cons of getting that, I'm pretty sure, it's got like when you're placing your association token on that 5, you have to donate your money in order to get the conservation points. And yeah, as you see here, there's like a lot of people that already put their cubes on those donations. It just means that you have to donate more in order to get the same amount of conservation points. Which yeah, I assume Victor is low on money. We currently don't see at the moment as we're watching VN. Deciding on what action he should do. Yeah, right now he has not that much money. He has about like $15. And he's gonna use an incentive. What was it called? Initiative.
Initiative, yes.
Initiative. And he just played. I think that was is that cards action? I'm not too sure.
I think that was a cards action, yeah.
Okay.
Or actually, no, I think it was.
Oh no, that was his association. He just placed down his yellow worker over to the conservation thing, number 5. He just gained, I think that was 3 conservation points.
Yeah, he placed down his he played an association act level 5, allowed him to place this worker here, which had allowed him to take the conservation action, then
Yes.
place his point there.
Okay.
Which gave him 3 extra points.
Okay. Got it.
Because he's so far ahead, or I guess he's ahead in appeal, which once again are the tickets. He needs to be prioritizing conservation, so that's a good play there, getting extra conservation there. But I don't know if it's going to be enough because
Yeah.
Marco is quite far ahead. As we said earlier, Aiden has basically guaranteed conservation every turn to that one
Wow.
card that gives him conservation as income.
Man, that sponsor card that Marco just played just gave him a lot of tickets, I believe. Not sure how much, but that was a really good card. This one's the veterinarian. Supporting a conservation point project requires only 4, which I don't know, seems pretty good.
Yeah, the supporting conservation thing is the thing that VN did last turn. So last turn,
yeah.
when VN played that association action at level
Yes.
5 to put a marker on that green conservation card. Once again, you normally would need a level 5 strength action. Marco playing that card
Oh, he
now
needs
needs a level
4.
4 strength action. Yes.
Wow. And yeah, when it's cheaper, it's better. Okay, so we're now looking at Aiden. What is he gonna do that's gonna change the game? Oh, he's thinking hard. He's looking around. He's observing every part of the table. This is a big table, by the way. we're really using the entire space, while also keeping the camera in frame.
Yeah, it's gonna get real messy real quick, which is how many cards and pieces you need to put everywhere.
You're right. It's very impressive
Yeah, that's fine.
of how they managed to keep it all on one table.
VN's gonna snap a card off of display there.
Oh shoot. Okay, I think he kind of just forgot to do that his last turn or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe there's a trigger that something happened and he was able to snap at that time. But looks like Aiden's gonna do the build action, and let's see what he builds. You know, I assume he's gonna build 2 stuff,
Yeah,
or maybe just 1.
it's kind of strange. He's building more stuff, but he
Oh.
has so many kiosks already, and he has so many open enclosures. You would think he would want to fill those enclosures with animals first, so they can get
Oh.
some appeal and some conservation projects going. But no, he's just building more.
He's
and
building more kiosks. And yeah, what do these kiosks do again?
So for every kiosk, which are the gray little tokens that he's placed on his board, for every kiosk he gets 1 extra income. So right now, I think he has 6, or was that 5? Yeah, I think it's 6. So in addition to the income he's already getting from his 36 appeal, he's just gonna get 6 extra income just automatically whenever the break happens.
Wow, Aiden is prepared for this late game. It may look like he's losing by a lot right now. Just he has 36 appeal, 14 conservation points compared to everybody else. But the engine that he has, as you said, from the entire game, right? That is what matters. That is what matters at the end game.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of income coming his way. Like remember,
Yeah.
whenever we break, he's gonna get 1 extra conservation. So he might be at 14 right now, but he's effectively at 15 because we're only a few spaces or a few more actions away from break, and then there you go, 15 conservation.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Yes.
And that's
I am
Man.
go.
Okay, right now it's Victor's turn. But I think Aiden's just trying to finish up his turn at the moment. Oh, okay.
He's gonna do a little bit of a donation, get a little bit extra conservation there at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll spend an X immediately.
That puts VN up to 12, spending that extra
Mm-hmm.
money to do that. Oh, and there's our break.
All right. Who broke that? Was that Victor? I think that was
Yeah, I
Victor.
think that was Victor, yeah. I think he spent an initiative to use a more powerful cards action, and that also caused it to break. So I think he's gonna get an initiative back for that.
Mhm.
So let's start.
And yeah, as the round ends, right, everyone's gonna get their income. Marco's gonna get that conservation point, from what I remember. Everyone else is gonna get, of course, their money. With Aiden, gonna get a lot of money because he has a lot of kiosks. Yeah, I mean, this is everyone's favorite time because they all regain the resources that they kind of built for, and then yeah, like everyone's just getting closer to how they really want to be at the end of the game.
Yeah. Once again, if we look at the board here, we got Marco, who is the red player.
Yeah.
Once again, once these 2 markers cross, which, they can cross around here or here or so, that's the game. The game just ends.
Right.
And as Marco gets more and more conservation, he's going to move 1 point up, 1 point up, another point up. So these conservations are big jumps. They're not nearly as big jumps as the appeal, which are just like 1, 2, 3. But we are getting closer and closer to the end of the game. As Marco said earlier when he was up here, his goal is to kind of slow down right now.
Yeah.
Because he realized he's quickly approaching the ability to end the game, but he wants to make sure that his lead is solidified. So we might see him start playing slightly slower paced, but still strong actions to sort of like set himself up so he can get a whole bunch of appeal or conservation at once and just in the game immediately.
Right. And yeah, so at the moment, I believe Aiden, Victor, Vienne, their goal is to try to just stop Marco, because it looks like out of everybody, he is winning the game right now.
Yeah, if Vian can manage to get a little bit of conservation, he could actually be in the lead. He's not too far in conservation. Unfortunately, however, even though he's only behind by 4 conservation, uh, 4 doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be a lot depending on what he has available to him.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's gonna have to like prioritize some conservation projects, and that might mean he needs to do certain other things. It looks like he's gonna try and snap a conservation project here.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess he's going with it.
yeah. I guess you can snap at any turn. I always thought you had to snap on your turn, but I don't know. I don't know how it works, honestly. But yeah, at the moment, it's still Victor turn. Actually, no. Wait, they're still doing the break stuff. I don't know. I guess every end of the round, he could snap a card. That's for my guess.
Because
Hmm.
all of my kiosks are double. From my
Yeah, Victor's actually kind of Victor's actually passed Aiden in terms of score as well. I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
We got 45 appeal, and actually, he's down by 1 conservation because Aiden has that science breakthrough, which gives him 1 extra conservation during income.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for that, Victor would have been ahead of him in score.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever it's your turn, right? He's active.
In a little bit, we're actually gonna have Aiden come here and talk more about his thoughts on this current state of the game. Just gonna look back here. Okay, it looks like I think Aiden should be ready. But yeah, everybody, I'm gonna introduce Aiden. Well, Deontay is gonna introduce Aiden, and then it'll be his moment of kind of just talking about the game, which is perfect timing because right now we're still in the break. I think we're just starting back with Marco there. I'll be back. I know. I mean, I won't be back. Mark, Aiden.
Yeah, I'll get 2 conservation shields for that. Okay, there we go.
I will
Then
do
pass the marker.
Game's almost wrapping up. Marco jumped up to 18 conservation now, getting even closer to ending the game. He's pretty much the only person that has the power to end the game right now. Everyone else is either lacking in one of the others, whether that be appeal or conservation. As I say that, Aiden jumps up to 17 conservation.
the
Uh,
10 amount.
but yeah. Oh, never mind. Jumping up to 18 conservation. He just put 2 tokens on those conservation projects. So now he's neck and neck with Marco. Marco's really going to have to put into that sort of like blocking other player strategy where he's drafting against them.
You're done? Yes.
And here we have Aiden joining us. Welcome, Aiden.
Hello.
So we're kind of getting to the final rounds of the game here. Can you tell me what you remember thinking at this point?
Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I know that I was trying to go for just using as much of my resources as possible, just constantly playing a card over and over again, trying to get all of the
Since I built it, can I move something that can live there that I already have somewhere?
Yes.
So then I'll
trying to get all of my actions to do at least something.
I noticed one of the things that's unique about your board compared to other players' boards is that you leave a bunch of enclosures open. What was the reason behind that?
I was trying to get a bunch of placement bonuses that I was reaching out for and trying to get my board to span across the mountains and rivers that I haven't gotten yet. I just wanted as much space as possible to work with to play the animals that I still had available.
Okay, so kind of like laying down the road before you walk on it.
Yes.
Okay, I see. So, Ada, I kind of asked the other players I interviewed here, what was your experience getting here to the grand finals? Was there any notable moments? How did you feel before coming into this? Did you do a lot of preparation on that?
I didn't do too much preparation because I didn't really know exactly what game we were going to be playing for the finals. I did practice a lot for the other rounds, just like Marco, I had a buy for my first round.
And
So
how did that affect you? Did you feel like the buy was like really beneficial, or you kind of were like, it's a buy, whatever?
I just thought it was just a whatever thing. I was just trying to see about the later rounds. It did give me the ability to practice for the later rounds of the game. The big one was playing against the seventh seed in round 3 against Michael for Seven Wonders duel. That one was actually quite hard to figure out a strategy for, just get my bearings for that game. I barely won that one, so
Did you
it's
feel like
pretty. I feel pretty good about getting into the grand finals through that.
did you feel like that was because you were unfamiliar with the game, or did you feel like your opponent was just really good?
It was mostly because my opponent was really good at the
Mm.
game. I was surprised when it ended up. It ended up that I had won just barely.
What was the like special ability of your board? I know Marco's special ability, unless you guys had the same board, you just chose the same board. I know his ability was that like he had a little gate on his board that allowed him to like basically make his enclosures +2 size. What was your special ability?
Everyone had a different board for the game as normal tournaments go. My board specialty, I think it was one of the weaker boards. It's kind of really hard to finagle, but I have a placement bonus where I earn a kiosk if I build something over that board. That was what was
Can I get a 4 and a
that's what I was building all of my stuff towards.
Oh,
So when all of those building spots or all of those placement bonuses have been filled, all of my kiosks immediately double the money that they generate.
oh,
So once I had all those filled, I was able to generate money every break, and trying to break as often as possible would have allowed me to have more reach with what I had access to.
oh, okay, so that's why you had so many kiosks. I thought you were just building them because you like just wanted some extra money here and there. But no, there was like actually like a real investment into them. Okay.
Yes.
What made you what fueled your decision to go into the reptile route here? I know you have a bunch of reptiles. That's sort of just like, oh, I drew some reptiles. I guess I'm going with this. Or was there a point
Yes.
when you were like, oh, okay, I see.
Yes. I don't remember exactly what the yes. Our I don't believe reptiles was one of the.
There's 3.
Yep, there's definitely 8. So I'll go 10 appeal total to.
Oh, you're in.
You know, what reptiles was one of the goals. I did
Hmm. One of the
reach
conservation
that.
projects.
Yes, one of the conservation projects. I was aiming for that for the base to try and get a bunch of points later on in the end game. But reptiles, they aren't the best, but they do synergize pretty well with each other.
Hmm.
Especially,
I noticed you said earlier that your board is kind of one of the weaker boards, but you just ended up passing Marco here, even if it's only by 1 point. Oh, well, now you got one extra conservation, but you ended up just passing Marco here, who for the longest time was pretty much in the lead. So even though your board might, as you said, be a little bit weak, it looks like you did a lot of work with it.
From range, because animals is upgraded. I have this.
Playing the pygmy hippopotamus.
yes.
This will cost me -3 to 12 for
Was there any point in the game where you felt like
minus.
you were being pressured by the other players, you were in danger, and you kind of
Yes.
like thinking like, I need to change up my game plan?
There.
I never really had a change of game plan. I just had to pick up the pace a little bit. Marco was very much in contention for just winning the game immediately as soon as he got
Could pick me up 6, please. And
to that stage. At this point, it looks pretty close, but Marco is such a strong player that he could easily just have uh, gotten all the points that he needed and crossed immediately and gotten
Yeah,
the game.
you are the blue player here, and because you just got so much appeal and conservation, you moved your conservation marker up there, and you moved your appeal marker here. So you're very close to ending the game. The only person that was even close to doing this beforehand was Marco, who was here and here.
Yes.
But in what seems like no time at all, maybe just like one round or whatever, you closed that gap really quickly.
Yes, I'm also trying to get breaks to happen as much as possible, as I get a lot of bonuses from in from the income of the game.
Yeah,
One of them being a conservation point, which ends up mattering a lot. I believe I earned 3 or 4 conservation points from just that one card.
yeah,
So
because when you played your science breakthrough, whatever it was called.
yes.
Yeah. Also, I noticed early on in the game, you were one of the first players to start upgrading cards. It's like you reached 4 upgrades like a long time ahead of all the other players. Was that sort of like intentional, or were you just kind of like, well, I have chances to upgrade, I'll just upgrade?
Yes, it was very much intentional. I started with a conservation project that I was able to support immediately from my 8 cards drawn. So my first goal was to just claim that as soon as possible, and once I had that claimed, I was able to just start upgrading my cards and utilizing that early upgrades to get as much of the bonuses as possible. I also used it to get another association worker, which allowed me more actions during the first turn if I didn't have to do a break.
Yeah.
So right here is where Marco could have easily ended the game and have won here.
Yeah,
He's
very close.
yes, he's 4 appeal away from just ending the game. This in this situation he could have easily done so, and this is where I was trying to just speed through, get as much as I possibly could,
Mm.
and get to a point where I could overtake him.
Yeah, speaking of all the extra income you got, I noticed you ended up buying a bunch of donations, especially these like higher price ones, because once again, these donations get more and more expensive as people buy them. So that income you got from placing those kiosks really paid off there, allowing you to get those higher level, or I guess not higher level, but more expensive donations.
Yes. Yes, that's the other big thing that I could utilize with my map. Because I got the early upgrade, I was able to start supporting as soon as I could, and with all the money I was able to generate from from my map and from all the animals I was able to place, I can do all the other stuff.
Okay. So obviously Marco, as he ramps up his points here to 21 conservation, 57 appeal, he's definitely looking as like your main opponent here, the one who can like win the game and put you back in second place. But as far as Victor and Vienne, they're not super far behind if you look at an appeal, but their conservation is kind of low. What did you think going against them? Like, what do you think they could have done better? Was there any point when you were like, "Oh, I don't need to worry about these other players"? Was there a point where you're like, "Oh, these players are still like in the fight"?
Victor was very close to getting second place, so he wasn't necessarily out of the fight the entire game. It's just a lot of the stuff that he was doing was pretty slow and steady. So it's hard to notice a lot of the things that he was doing during that game. Most of it was focused on Marco, as he was doing a lot of big jumps, and Vienne earlier had taken the eagle, and with that take I was thinking he could do some last minute shenanigans with an extra action somewhere. He also had acquired a bunch of extra final scoring cards with his 2 elephants.
Oh
So
yeah.
those could have easily swung the game in his favor if they were things that he had either already had completed or was gearing towards completing. So that was something that I was also paying attention to.
Yeah, we can't forget about the end game scoring conditions, which I kind of like glossed over a little bit earlier. But some cards have these like little brown spots in the bottom right. It'll give you certain points or certain bonuses, but only at the end of the game. And kind of like Mario Party in a way. Uh, the main game, you can do a lot of things to get a lot of conservation and a lot of appeal and get ahead. But there's always that chance that someone has like 6 or 7 like in-game bonus points, and then they just shoot up at the end.
So for each final scoring card, they can never gain more than 4 for a single one. So Marco didn't focus on his as much when he easily could have and just beat me by a single conservation point. But Vienne with his 4 cards could easily have gone anywhere up to 10, and it was just serendipity that the extra cards that he had acquired did not benefit him as much as it could have.
All right, well, game is definitely very, very close. As you said earlier, Marco is only 4 conservation points away or 4 appeal away from ending the game.
That's 7, right?
You're a little bit more than that, but
Oh,
I think as Marco said when he was up here, he was trying to like slow down at this point to try and get more points, and his greed might have cost him a little bit.
Yeah, he was trying to maximize his points, and it was not the best idea at this point. He could have just looked around and seen that we were we were kind of far away. He could have steamrolled the very end, but he was probably thinking that we could have something that gave us just enough conservation points if Marco couldn't push two his two markers past each other. If he couldn't get his appeal or his conservation points to a high enough level where he could completely secure that win, he could have easily just
That's just 2 tickets.
chosen to cross too early and end up losing the game through hubris in that case.
All right. So, as you're wrapping up here in this game, what is your final thoughts? The game is very close, obviously. Are you thinking like, oh, how do I win this? Or are you thinking like, oh, you're just hoping that Marco makes a mistake or something?
I'm honestly thinking, dang, I can't believe I won this. I only won by a very small margin. The fact that Marco decided to extend the round and that VN later on has us break, which gives me that extra conservation point, which actually ends up mattering so much
So
in this final round of the game
So
that we're coming up on.
at this point in the game, even before the game has ended, you're already like, I won.
I was not at that point. I only thought about that when we got to that final break.
Okay. Well, one final question before we let you go here. I'll ask you the same question I asked the other players. Did you have fun playing Ark Nova for the grand finals?
It was very fun. I really like playing in these tournament settings, having these semi high stakes. It wasn't super high stakes, but it was good enough, high enough stakes where I just quite enjoyed the
Yeah, 'cause you
playing
met
all
different
this.
players.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Aiden.
All right.
Once again, congratulations on your win.
All right. Thank you very much.
And that is it.
And now I have joining me again, Ethan. Hello, welcome back, Ethan.
And then I will play.
So what were you thinking as you're refereeing this game? Right here, or it's down to the wire. Are you thinking you kind of know who's going to win, or are you thinking like, oh, it's anyone's game?
I mean, at this point in time, I was fairly certain that Marco had it in the bag, and from a spectator standpoint, right? These four all knew how to play the game really well, and so there were only a few minute things here and there as a ref that I had to do, but that left a lot of room for just spectating and watching as entirely a spectator sport, and that was a very interesting game, end to the game to watch, to get to be a part of, as I thought, Marco had it right in his hands, right in the bag, and then the end, everything kind of changed hands a little bit. So
Yeah, just as we saw right there, that one play by Aiden jumped him up to the point where now he is effectively only like 1 appeal, or I guess maybe 2 conservation away from winning. Previously, Marco was only 4 appeal or 2 conservation away from winning. But that one play right there basically put Aiden at the same like closeness, I guess is the right word, closeness of winning.
Put that down there.
So obviously, as Aiden, who was just here before, he had said, Marco got a little greedier at the end. Even though he's only like one appeal, one conservation away, like literally just one extra point would have been all it takes for him to end the game. Aiden does some like big plays here that allow him to take the lead. And as you're seeing this happening, Ethan, what were you thinking during the game?
I honestly, at this point in time, right after these extra couple of turns had happened, my brain was entirely going. I don't know who could win this because Aiden and Marco are right there neck and neck. Yeah, and Victor is by no means far behind, and so there's some really close competition here. And as you look at everyone's money stockpiles and everything, no one's got a whole lot left in the tank. So it certainly looks like we're gonna hit another round reset, and then people are gonna have new cards to play and massive spikes that are gonna just end the game and take everyone that much further ahead and make it that much more tense of an ending.
Yeah, I know we've been focusing a bit on Marco and Aiden, but yeah, I apologize if I made it sound otherwise. But yeah, Victor and Vian also did put up a good match. It is a very close game, even though they are a little bit behind. To be would only like at this point in the game where like you could play an explosive card and just get like 4 or like 3 conservation points. It really puts into perspective just how close the actual game is.
Okay. So I'm gonna build
Yep.
2 space. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Marco's going to be building one. I assume is probably one of his last enclosures here, a little 2-space enclosure.
Yeah, I draw within my reputation right now.
Trying to close out his board to get that one-time 7 appeal boost. Because as soon as you have every space on the board filled, you get an instant 7 appeal, which is pretty neat.
Play sponsors at 4. Could play a card.
Now it's Aiden's turn. Aiden's playing a sponsorship card. I'm assuming that sponsorship card is going to be the thing that gives him the extra. Actually, no, it's just federal grants, giving him a little bit extra money.
What
here
he
at the end
really
of the
wants
game.
there is the little brown portion you saw on the bottom of that card.
The
Is
in-game
at
bonus.
the end of the game. If he's got 9 reputation or more, he gets an extra conservation point. So that's the real draw of playing that card right there.
Yeah. The reputation is the small track in the middle here. I don't think we ever formally pointed it out, but it's this little track right there. That is a reputation track. Aiden obviously is a blue player here, so I think he's at what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, he's past the requirement for that card, so he's definitely gonna get reputation from that.
So each time a research icon is played into any zoo, I gain $2.
Got a science library coming out here. Each time a research icon is played in any zoo, he gets a little extra money, which might not do much right now. I mean, it could do much, but like the game's almost over, so what
Here.
he's really playing it for is for the conservation points.
Yep. For every 5 different icons he's got in his zoo at the end of the game.
I believe Victor played that, as you can.
Which, if I remember correctly, I think earns him about 2 conservation points already. And then if he can manage to play anything more, that would be
Yeah, Victor
another
and
spike.
Vian actually shot up in conservation to the point where like they're almost even with Aiden now, which is like I said, this is actually a very very close game.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
I could have ended a lot longer, but I was like, no.
As Marco just said, he could have ended a lot longer.
Oh well, it's gonna be a close game.
We'll see.
And here everyone's gaining income, and because we're so late into the game, everyone's got such high amounts of money, and everyone, I think everyone, or most players have their income snap whenever the round resets, and so everyone's gonna get some extra cards. A really potentially game-changing card here with the money to play it, and probably something else along with it too. So it's that final push, that
Oh, the $8 was for him?
extra mile that everyone's trying to make it to
Okay, it was on-
secure the most points on their final
There you go.
couple of turns.
Yeah, this final break is
Now,
not trying to make a pun, but it's the make or breaker point of the game right here. Seeing what people draw. Also keep in mind Aiden, because this is income, also gets that extra conservation point from that science breakthrough that he had, which being so close to Marco and also being so close to ending the game is very impactful.
38.
Plus another X.
Marco might get one extra turn before the end of the game because currently the active player is VN, which might, change some things. But ultimately, I think the income that each player has is what really puts the game to end right here.
That's 30, 35.
And as you can see here, everyone's making high 30s amounts of money, which is enough to play 2 animals very comfortably at this point. So it's that final.
Don't be willing to wait like a minute. It's like phone.
It's really up to what everyone has left in their hands at this point.
Okay, you want to move those?
One more card off the top of the deck.
3, 34, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45.
Aiden's looking at his board, counting up what he's got. Again, an extra 30 income just from that. And move his conservation up. I say 30, that's more like, yeah, it's probably like 30-ish, 36, some a lot of money.
38, 39 points.
Yeah.
Or money.
And now he is just as close as Marco is to ending the game. However, he is effectively ahead of Marco. That's one of the cool things about these tokens is that you can kind of see like not only like how close you are to ending the game, but also like how far ahead you are in other players. It's a very good visual element of points.
Oh, and here we're going again. Marco is playing a conservation card from his hand, conservation project, to use his associate, get some final boost of conservation points, put him that much further along in the game. And this turn, as Marco's conservation points past his appeal, is the one that ends the game. So everyone else gets to play one more action, and then the game's over.
From your hand.
Not within reputation range?
So yeah, that is Marco's 2 point trackers, his conservation tracker and his appeal tracker passing each other. So as Ethan just said, the game is now in its actual like sudden death final round. Everyone gets one more turn, and then that's the game.
I'll gain a ticket for each Europe in my zoo. Only one. So I get 1 ticket.
And then you
That's it.
can make a donation if you have.
Nope.
He doesn't upgraded. Okay.
Could have made the donation, I think, but he chooses not to make the donation. Like, as soon as Marco ends his turn, it's going to be Aiden's turn.
I might as well just because I don't think I can do anything that gives me more conservation. So I'm just going to do association at 5.
Okay, now it's Aiden's turn. He's going to do Association at 5, which means he's probably going to play a conservation project of some kind.
This couch to take research at 4.
He's going to do the 4-cost research conservation project, moving his token up a little bit more, putting him at 22 conservation.
12 to increase my thing by 1 more. I'll put the payments down in
Making a
12,
donation.
putting 1 more, doing some donations. Once again, he has so much income because of his board, giving him double value for those kiosks.
I will tuck 2 cards from my hand.
Below your map.
And because
below
of
my
that
map.
bonus that he got from
4.
that pouch portion of his
And I
income board,
so that's
he's
4.
allowed to tuck 2 cards on doing that because of the initial one-time bonus, and those tucked cards are going to earn him some extra points, 1 point per card at the end of the game if they stay there.
The game's pretty much over at this point. Everyone gets one more
Or
turn.
I guess
think
not
he
1
just took
point,
his
but
turn.
1 appeal.
To play
Extra point squeeze in there as part of his last turn. Victor's going to be taking his turn now. It's going to be spending his initiative.
Do a
As we're
He's
going
trying
to
to play
see
that
here,
conservation token.
another
or
conservation
project.
project.
this one gets bumped.
He's also going to be taking a piece off his board to support that conservation project.
Reading program. So put it here. So I gain 2 shields. Yeah. And 2
You'll get an X token, which doesn't really matter much, and then you'll gain 1 appeal for exceeding.
and then from here
You get
I
it.
took this on.
You get that one.
Just
You go up 1 more shield.
A little extra science there at the end. There's the only option I had left.
Oh yeah, I threw the game.
Spend
Yeah.
I knew I should have done, and I didn't do it.
Spend the
Oh,
And he's going to
Marco.
make a donation.
Marco admitting defeat right there. Knowing that he lost because he got a little too greedy.
Did you already move it? The one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then pass the marker.
Okay, and here's the final turn from Vian. See what he does.
There is no first one.
No score sheet.
Yeah, okay. It did not change. It would not have changed the final.
I think you wanted in all these.
Marco and Aiden kind of discussing the end of the game and what could have been.
Nope.
And I think what we're going to see here from Vian is another conservation project, because that's just at the end of the game, right? How you score the most points right at the end.
But you crossed.
Yes, you
Yes. You crossed.
This is so much better than your first game.
Animals have fun. I locked in.
The fact that
Oh, the game hasn't officially ended yet. All the players
Not
are sort of
conservation project.
all the players are sort of like wrapping up.
Even after.
It's
Playing
sportsmanship.
animals.
they'll probably be in one because he has those extra things.
Yeah.
Each of them can just
Like
give
a
him one.
platypus and a common European adder. Just a little points there at the end.
Yeah. 7.
If he has a sponsors one. If he has a sponsors, he only has 2 sponsored cards.
I mean, I don't know what's
That
the
doesn't
rate.
give him any. He has to have 3 for the first shield.
Well, I'm saying that I don't know what he has, right?
I mean, he's got 3 of them, so Nathan has he's got something.
Yeah. I'm crying.
And is trying to figure out what to do with his turn here. Once again, he is the final turn. After he is done, that is the game. They'll count up all their end of game bonuses.
This is the last one.
I'm
If you the moment you decide, you cannot take it back.
I'm sorry.
So is it animal?
He's got to put some debuffs on a player.
David the animal.
I'm stressed. Oh god.
Or is he conserving one more thing?
I'm sorry.
I'm just slightly. I'm currently slightly ahead by 2. Ahead of you by 2 points.
You want it? Yeah, because look.
And here we're taking back the animals. Vian's going to ultimately decide to
Yeah.
do
Do you get any?
conservation project, I think.
I only have one.
You only have the
I
one.
only have one.
Damn.
Because I didn't do the others. That's one.
All right.
Trying to figure out if there's any way he can sneak in those last extra conservation points or just even some more appeal.
5.
I was going to spend 2 initiative,
Whatever it is, it's gonna blast all that.
Finally.
get that association out, and play that conservation project. Give him a little bit of extra conservation there at the end.
2.
2 minus?
2.
Which I can only play the weakest spot on that conservation card, but that's all he's got left, so he's got to take it.
The pouch bonus you already get. you automatically get.
You're good. Nothing changed. Nothing changed.
Yeah. Because I don't believe
Who's getting this? Then he loses that.
you lose this. You lose 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You go up
3 conservation.
1, 2, 3. Donation.
And you gain one.
And then he's gonna make one last donation.
Okay, it didn't change.
For
And I'll just take those.
I get a donation.
one extra conservation point.
Okay.
All right, that's the game, right?
That's the end of the game.
And that is the game.
That is the end of the game. Okay,
Wait, first,
you're gonna tally up the end of game bonuses.
do you want to go for an active player?
We just
Okay, sure.
do it.
So that's
I
3
just get 3
points. 1, 2, 3 from Marco. I get 1.
Here they're
Uh,
tallying up
2.
the sponsor cards and endgame scoring cards for any conservation points earned from those to
I got 2 from these. From
tally up
1 from each of these.
where everyone's
And then I
final
get 2
scores are going to be and
thing for having 3.
determine who our winner's going to be.
What's it called? 3 rock icons.
Yeah, I should have. Yeah, I didn't. I don't know why I didn't do it.
I was not getting my rock icons, and I didn't realize that we broke. I would have picked up that other rock.
Yeah, I should have picked this to play from my hand. That would have given me more tickets.
I get 1 from this. And from here, I made it all the way to the end here, so I get 4.
Final scores for Marco and Aiden, and finally Victor.
3 for 4.
And the final score for VN being put in right now.
For the 0 small animals.
Yep.
Or yes. And then 0 for this.
Let's go.
Really?
Yes.
And that's the game, right?
2 for
Done.
each.
No, you don't get it.
Is it?
It's one. It's 1 for all 3.
All 3, yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
I need 1 return.
And it looks like
I think if I
And-
covered it, I would have won.
Scores. You've got
Yes.
Because this,
Aiden in
Yes,
first,
You have.
this bonus.
Marco
and I
in
would've
second,
more for that.
Yes,
Victor
1%.
very shortly behind,
Ahead of you.
and then Vienne in fourth. And
by a shield and a half.
Yeah.
as Aiden's saying right now,
If you-
our scores are
That's game, guys.
really close in this game.
yeah. And Aiden takes home the grand finals championship of our board game madness.
Forward.
Shake forward.
What an exciting game. It's close down to the very end.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. My name once again is Deontay, and this is,
Yeah, Ethan.
and I'm going to pass over to Brandon for one last segment.
So, Aiden,
Yes.
you won the Board Game Madness tournament.
Yeah.
How do you feel? How do you feel?
Honestly, I felt really great. I was surprised that I won. It was a really close game, so it really could have been up in the air who won at this point.
Yeah, you can officially say that like you're the best board game player at UNT.
Sure, yeah.
And yeah, what did you win?
So I won 2 vouchers, $15 vouchers for Panda Express. I also
Wow.
won a little Lego set, and I also won a board game of my choice for winning the event.
Well, what did you choose? What board game?
The board game I got is Deep Regrets. It is a kind of Cthulhu fishing game, or rather Lovecraftian fishing game. It's similar to if you've ever played the video game Dredge. It is similar to that.
You said a fishing game?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think I know that. It's like a horror fishing game
Yes.
thing. Wow, that's so cool.
Mhm.
Okay. And yeah. So I guess now that you're like pretty much the board game champion, I guess what's like your key advice into winning board games that you'd say to the casual or competitive board gamers?
So in terms of competitive, you just really want to know what you're doing all the time. You have to make every action kind of count. A lot of the time you can do an action that's like, oh, I don't know if this is the best, but sometimes it ends up working towards your favor later on. You
Yeah.
want to just make sure you know what you're doing all the time. If you're doing something and you have no clue why you're doing it, that's not a good thing, but you want to just keep playing. But obviously the biggest one is just have fun. If you like playing competitive board games like that, playing these games competitively, you can have fun that way. Or if you just like playing casually, you don't have to take it so seriously. You don't have to have every action mean something, and that can be how you have your fun that way.
That's true. Yeah, there's so many awesome board games to where, yeah, if you're just having fun, like maybe you just having fun will just make you win, and it's just that's the game. And yeah, I really like that's well said. I guess what's your key advice into winning this Ark Nova game?
Ark Nova is one of those games where you have to be really tactful about all the cards that you have access to. That Yeah, the resources that you have are very restricted. You want to make sure that every single thing you do really counts. One wrong move in the early game could end up cascading into something terrible later on. Sometimes you just end up where a small early game move ends up just snowballing you into the later game, but you want to make sure that you know what you're doing on the offset. This isn't one of those small games where you just like go and try to do your best if you're wanting to win. You gotta really know what you're doing.
Right, right. But yeah, Aiden, this really means a lot of how much you, put in so much effort into participating in this tournament. Yeah, knowing for me, like I was just behind the scenes, kind of just making sure everything runs so well. And yeah, you just made it like competitive, and it was great. And you had a lot of fun, and it made other people have a lot of fun. And yeah, that's a blessing. Would you ever play again if this were to happen next year?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, for any last words before we end off this video,
Um,
you want to say to the audience?
Never give up, never surrender.
Never give up, never surrender. All right. Well, thank you all for watching, all you board game enthusiasts that stayed till the end of the video. And yeah, so there you go.
Thanks.